I see everybody slowly starting to funnel in here. So that's
Yeah, this is so nice. I can't wait to talk about all this stuff.
I know, I'm excited. Well, tell me a little bit about what you guys just spoke on. You were with Facero there for about an hour.
Yeah. I
How
mean,
did that conversation go? Let's chop it up about that first.
it's nice to talk about your like it's like weird, but it's like nice to talk about yourself, but also in a way that's not always about my content. It's like, oh, it was so refreshing for someone to ask me questions about my childhood and where I studied and how I got into journalism and how I got to do content, so kind of going full circle there was nice. So nice. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the book, How to Make Friends and Influence Others, where it's like you literally ask people to talk about themselves and then they like you. It's such an interesting thing when it comes to doing these interviews and the things that we could do online right now. So I think
It's
that's something
true.
we're talking about in a bit. Is that thing still playing in the background?
No, I stopped the music. Do you guys hear music?
I heard this weird little bit of it for a second. I was like, where is that coming from?
I just want to make sure that people can hear Chris because I feel like,
Yeah, we got thumbs up.
yeah,
Yeah, we should be good.
I don't see you speaking in my Twitter space here.
Yeah, and that's the strange thing is
You guys hear Chris? Okay, they
it,
do. They do.
you know what? You know what's funny? They might hear me talking because of your mic on the live stream. Because
Oh my god.
I would think that I'm pumping that audio, but I don't know. I don't know everything that's trying to rug right now.
Listen, first rule is if something's gonna go wrong, it probably will.
Yeah, and a big part of live streaming is it's gonna break and you're gonna have to fix it. And if that freaks you out, don't get into live streaming. That's 100% true.
Exactly. Let me see though. Chris, speak. I'm gonna mute myself. Let's see if people can still hear you.
Okay, let's go. If anybody can hear me, let's get some thumbs up. I'm trying to get this tweet about kick.com in the room, and I swear I keep
No, that's it. They don't hear you.
Okay. Yep. So we'll adjust some stuff here. Let me get this Kick thing up. We're now live on Kick. Okay. I'm putting up my image, tweeting, and then I'm going to pin this up to the top. What a fun start. Thank you, Twitter. Thanks for
Thank you, Twitter.
I appreciate you. Love you.
So everyone can hear Chris through my phone, but I will say, I'm reminding everyone, I am live on my YouTube channel. So you guys get to see us. And Chris, I'm not wearing a black hat, but I feel like we're matching today. We're both in black. I'm excited to dive into content creation and specifically getting people to ask questions to two people here, right? Girl in the Verse and Chris, who have been doing this for such a long time. And I think for a lot of people, there's a lot that goes on in our minds, right? Like before I always get this question to me, like, when did you decide to do content? Well, the reality is it wasn't really a decision. I just sort of did it, But I think for a lot of people now, right, we're in a bear and everyone's thinking what we're thinking, which is, okay, how can I start creating content where once we hit a bull market, I will feel more proud of the content I'm creating? And so tonight, what we want to do, truthfully, is get you guys coming up on stage. I know some of you requested, but I'm just getting Chris here to get all settled in before I invite everyone up to come up, ask your questions. We're not here to shame anyone, but we want to be as honest as possible. And we want your content to not suck. We want it to be good and for you to feel proud to hit publish, right? Like that is the goal. So feel free to come up, ask your questions. I'm just, like I said, just making sure that Chris here, I hope that we can hear Chris tonight, because or else that just means that
I think they can hear me through your audio.
Yeah.
So if I'm not wrong, I do believe that we have
we're fine.
Everything randomly working. It probably shouldn't be working, but it is. So I'm not going to fight the universe here. I do want to invite everybody to join us and check out the live stream on kick.com. And if you haven't, here's the thing. I don't think you should do this just because it's like it's the thing to do. It's the fact that there is a live chat that can happen on kick.com that is very integrated really well with Twitter Spaces. It's the most seamless way to set up an account and to just start chatting right away. It's worth it. You're going to hear more and more people that are doing this, and it's kind of nice to be ahead of the curve. It really is.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. And that's I was a little like we were in the other space a minute ago, Melina, and I was like last second doing like artwork for the channel and all this silly stuff. So
But you know what? We love it. Come on. Like when people ask me how many hours you work a day, you know what? I can't count. Then I know I'm not making real money if I start counting all the hours I do. I'm not going to start counting, but you know, it's pretty full time. And yeah, I had some fun taking some silly shots of myself for the thumbnail that we're creating. But
it was good.
Yeah,
so, at least we did have a good thumbnail and all that stuff. So that is a thing. I know we can dive in and talk about ourselves a bunch. You know what I actually don't want to do is I don't want to make it 100% about us because
it's not about us.
It's not.
We suck. It's not about us.
I mean, look, we even put that we suck in the title. No, here's the thing. I really do want this to be an actionable space. And we even have a speaker named Action who's great at live streaming and stuff like that. So we've got multiple people up here that can field questions, that can do some Q&A stuff. And I know between running Twitter Spaces and running live streams and posting on YouTube and on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff, there's going to be a lot of information that we cut up here. So I say let's dive into it and do a little bit of chatting. Action, how are you doing, my man?
I'm good. The reason I came up here is because I also suck at this.
That's okay.
That's the thing that people might think, oh, he knows what he's doing. No. I'm just as bad as everybody else. I just fine-tuned a few things here and there. And as always, I'm just trying to help other people get up and going because that's the truth of it. Like, you just got to do it. That's where it starts.
Right. I mean, that's what I always say all the time, right? Action, it's like, it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to love it. You're going to watch your first video and be like, why am I wearing this top and this t-shirt and this is ugly. It makes no sense. But it's the only way to start it.
That was me. I think I fixed it. I think we're finally. So now you should be able to hear me. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. You sound so good right now. I mean, it doesn't sound like you're SM7B good.
Okay. So here's the thing, Melina, I am a bonehead, just so that we're both clear on that. What I'm going to end up doing is we'll keep your host on Twitter Spaces muted, and then I'm going to unmute you here on the live stream. And then what's going to happen is your phone is going to be making noise no matter what, because it's on the stage as a speaker. So like throw it under a pillow or something like that. And it will be good. And if for the room, if your ears start ringing with the repetitious sound of mics that are in a loop, I'm sorry. But Melina, I think you're back. Let's hear.
Hello.
Cool. Echo. Nope, we're actually good. Hell yeah. All right. I don't know why. My Rodecaster Pro 2 did not want to have the Bluetooth work for me. It wanted to make me look like an idiot, and it succeeded.
And that's something I want to reiterate. All this fancy equipment and yet still problems. So fancy equipment, not an excuse. You don't need it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's why I went with a cheap version with a Tascam Mixcast 4, you know? Figured the cheaper it is, the less things that can go wrong.
Yeah, well, but it's all going to go wrong. It's all going to go wrong. We're just going to wing it, and we're going to roll with the punches. And that is what it is.
So yeah, Action, tell us more about your content. What are you struggling with right now? Or why are you saying that it sucks? And, tell us more. I want to know more.
Sure. I'll give you like a 30-second pitch here why it sucks, and I'll start from that angle. The reason why I don't think it's good, it's because I'm my own worst enemy. I'm the one doing the judging here, so I'm always going to be super critical of anything that I create, regardless of how incredible the comments are. At the end of the day, like if I'm reading, let's say 100 comments on YouTube, that one bad comment, it always stick out from all the good ones. So yes, I think that it's not that great because I think there's always room for improvement. And if I think that it's perfect and incredible, well, I'm ready to die and I'm not ready for that yet. So it's just a matter of improving the things that I do, and not being up to par with my standards just means I get to work harder at it. And, the thing I'm struggling with the most right now is time. That is always the biggest struggle. I wish I could simply be a content creator full time and only focus on this and not have to be a shredder and have to do all the editing and all the research and all the interviews and everything else that goes along with the job. So if I had, my perfect world, I would sit, record, and be done with it. But that's just not how the world works. And we all got to do a little bit of everything to get going.
Oh man, that's you just hit on the dream world. This is what I'm working towards. And Melina, I know you could.
We're both smiling. If you guys were watching us on camera, we're both like huge smiles.
Imagine we show up, we do this. Listen, like, okay, we plan. Me and Melina are gonna sit and we're gonna do a live stream. We're gonna show up for an hour, and then we're gonna be done, or 2 hours in this case. And then that's it for the day. That was our job. Holy God, is that a possibility in this life?
That sounds like a dream.
Oh my God! So that is actually to make this actionable for the room. That is what I want to happen. I want everybody in this room, if you make content, I would 100% appreciate your support, and I will show up and support you as well, to get people to understand that something that we need desperately bad are people who timestamp, people who listen, and every time they hear somebody drop a gem, I don't care who it is, you take a quick little snapshot of your phone and you make that little documentation of that moment and say, at this time, this happened. If we had somebody that could just listen to that, not only would we pay those people, we would be in debt to them. We'd be like, thank God somebody was paying attention and timestamping this room. We need that multiple times a day in multiple different rooms all over Twitter Spaces. That timestamp role is such an easy, low-hanging fruit money-making thing, and it's the first step to take so that me and Melina can show up for 2 hours, goof around, smile a bunch on a live stream, and then like everything else happens like magic after that. What do you think about that?
Hold up, Chris. Am I getting clipped? Is that what you're saying?
That's the next step, because you can't clip it unless you know where to clip. You got to have the timestamper. You have to. Like, and that's the missing piece of the puzzle, because generally what happens is, she's got the ball in her own court. She's filming content, she's editing the content, or she's passing it off to an editor, telling them what to do. Like, all of those things you have to do as the content creator, or you have to do it yourself. And that's our Achilles heel as creators, especially, the shredder. If you can produce and shoot and edit and all that, then you end up wearing all the hats and doing all the work, and you can't really grow and scale that way. So we've got to have the person that can do the clipping or making the short form content. But in this case, they have to know where to make that clip. And so we need that timestamper. So, Melina, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I hear action, and I hear him feeling like myself right now. I feel very like, I'm not going to say on edge, but you have an idea, right? You're creating this content and then you do it, but it's not done until it's done. And like you said, we have all these steps to do. And in the end, am I a content creator? Am I a producer? Am I an editor? Am I a timestamper? Like, there's so much to do. But I will say, Action, I hear you. What I tend to do is, I've had to come to terms with, I'm going to be my hardest critic, and that's okay. But we have to, and I know it's like easy for me to say, like, we have to move past being our own critic, but you have to. Like, my boyfriend was telling me yesterday, like, just 80%, like, love it 80%. Like, it's fine. Pass it off to someone. I lately, I edit most of everything myself, because what I tend to notice too is, unless you're in this space, nobody's going to get the joke. Nobody's going to get what we're talking about. Like, nobody gets it. So if I have to start timestamping it, telling an editor what I want, what I'm looking for, I've been already editing it halfway. So, and then, there's a cost to all of this, right? We didn't talk about that, Chris.
Already editing. My bad. It was me messing things up again. There's a cost to it. That's where you were at. Don't let me throw you off, Melina.
But there is a cost to it. And I want people to know, when you first start, I don't necessarily recommend paying someone to do everything. I think the best thing is to learn and grow. And look, let's face it, Chris. A lot of people on TikTok just use the editing software within TikTok to edit their videos and get thousands of views. So, you know, I don't want to disregard that either. Also, Action, what do you think you need help with the most right now? Is it coming up with content? Is it managing all that in the end? Like, how can we help you here?
Oh yeah, I mean, I gave you all of that meat there just because I'm content. Let me just put it that way before saying anything else. I am content. I have found my happy place regardless of where I'm at, and I think that's what allows me to continue to create. If I wasn't there, I'd be miserable and unhappy with everything that I do in life. So I have become, content with my content. Man, I got that jokes for days, but I want to make sure. I want to make sure that I am focusing on what's important and I'm hitting things one piece at a time. So right now I am creating shorts, but I'm not the one creating shorts. I found some help to splice things up and get some shorts going. So that's my step number one. Step number two for me is definitely going to be the editing aspect of it. And I am doing what you said. I'm doing that 80%. So all my videos are in 4K right now. I am going to step down to 1080p. To be able to do more content and be more consistent because my workflow is not ideal as it stands. So I'm tackling one thing at a time. So I'm going to go down to 1080p so that I can actually do like an A10 Mini Pro and pump out way more content because I can sit here and create content for hours upon hours, but I am a little bit of a perfectionist at times and I want to make sure that my videos are up to par, which takes forever in post. So if I can sit and just bang it out, that's my next step.
Love that. That's such a huge thing. Like it's not letting go of control like it doesn't matter, but it is allowing something to grow beyond you. I would say as a creator, especially if you realize that you've only got to where you've got because you've done it all yourself. The point at which you're willing to let go of something, like it sounds dumb, but if you're not a creator, it's probably doesn't hit as well. But letting go of 4K footage in trade for scalability, like 4K is so good. You could just keep zooming in and it still looks nice. And nobody but you cares.
Please do not zoom in on my face. You see, so, okay. I totally agree with both of you. Here's what I will say. When I was in Miami, I was fighting with my own camera guy, AKA my partner. Because I was of the complete opposite. I told him, I said, we're just going to film everything with my iPhone. And I remember him telling me he also comes from all this production, side, which we all do. But he's like, no, you need all this equipment because you need the camera, you need the 4K and whatnot. And the one thing I noticed when I came home was I was stuck with all this content that for me was already stale. So sometimes too, and that's what I wanted to ask you, Action. And I know we have some more hands here, but what is your content? Does it really need to, I know now you said you're going to go to 1080, but even for people in the crowd, I think sometimes it also depends the type of content you are creating. Is it something that is more evergreen that you can play with and have the time to go with the 4K? Or is it something that you need for the next couple of weeks?
You just nailed it on the head with the question without me even giving you the answer. So it's both, right? So my idea is that the content that is that has to be quick, that has to get out there, where it's news, where it's updates and things that are happening, that's going to be 4K. That's not going to be 4K. That's going to be 1080, no question about it. But if I have the time to put in and let's say somebody pays me for me to do a review of a product, well, that's different. If people are, ponying up and saying, hey, here's money for you to take a look at X, Y, and Z product, I'm going to do my best job at that product. I'm not just going to put out content that's not going to become stale. So that content that should last a long time, I do plan on keeping that 4K. But that's going to make my life so much easier. Like if you're talking about spending 8 hours in a video now, if I can spend 2 hours, get it out, now I just got myself 6 hours to do that extra content on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it scales. It makes a huge impact. And I do want to take a question from Benny because I know Benny's going to be doing a lot of content. Action, you're the man. I'd love if you'd hang out with us. We're gonna be
Yeah,
here
stay
for a
with
while.
us.
Yeah. But Benny, how you doing, brother?
Here. What's going on, gang?
What's-
This interesting discussion, something me and Chris have talked about actually in the background before. It's not really a question, but I think it's something that's important to know as a content creator or aspiring content creator, because I've tried and failed at this a million times. And one of the things that I find it the hardest to be consistent with is the filming, is the editing.
Mhm.
Not a filmer. I'm not an editor. I'm a business owner. I'm a dad, coach. I'm good at the content part, creating, but the actual creation of the content, if that makes sense, I'm not good at. And I don't even really have the time to be good at it. And I think it's important to be self-aware when you're a content creator and know when you need to go and get somebody to help you be elite. Because at the end of the day, content creation is oversaturated. Not oversaturated, but oversaturated in that there's a lot of it. There's a lot of really bad content. So to create quality content, I think at some content.
It's me again. I gotta stop that. I swear to God.
God,
Keep going,
damn,
Benny.
Chris.
Jesus, it's a pattern interrupt. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no, you're good, man.
You had one job.
Oh God.
Fucking failing. Jesus Christ, calls himself a content creator.
Yeah.
Anyways, it becomes something where damn, I want to do this, right? But should I let it hold me back? Should I let this barrier of entry that now exists with content creation, high quality editing, high quality sound, high quality lighting, high quality camera, that stuff gets pushed to the front, regardless of what's being said on that lighting is good or not. Really, it's become where the framework is almost more important sometimes than the content, unless you're really, 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 really good. Right, unless you're one of those, unless you're one of the 1% who sticks out in the room all over the world, unless you're one of those people who understands how to shift culture, you have to have a really clean framework. And I think it's super important to tap in with those networks that can help you with that framework. It's something because I think that there's a lot of smart people, a lot of creative people, a lot of people who can, create some really good content, but they need help with the creation part. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in my head when I say it. So,
It does. Benny, I wanted to ask you, what's the type of content that you're doing or planning to do? Because I hear you say, well, I'm a dad, I'm a business owner. What's the content? What's your idea there?
Well, so I mean, in the past, I've done short form video fitness content. I went on a crazy weight loss journey during the pandemic, and I did pretty well, But again, the hard part was the fucking filming. I just, I'm an athlete. I can move. I can lift weights. I can move my big ass up and down the camera. But when it came down to cutting it and clipping it and finding the perfect move and picking the song and posting it. And then when I found out there was a whole algorithm, when you posted at a certain time, it gave you more views. I was fucking over it. I was so over it. But when I took the time to do it all right, I got the impressions went nuts every time. But it was just for that to do that, it took time. Now here in Web3, working on something with Chris, with Twitter Spaces in particular, trying to do something a little bit different with Twitter Spaces, what's being done at this current moment. Something that will combine the video and the short form content, but try to do it in a way where we can maybe, hopefully, cross-platform it in a tasteful manner. We'll see how it works. I think, like I said, it's been important for me to reach out to a team behind me who has some skills that I don't have. We've talked and met. They love the idea. They see the vision. The network has been extremely important to pull it off. So we'll see what happens, but it will be based around live video, audio content with a video feature, live audio content with a video feature that will hopefully be able to cross-platform in a tasteful manner. So we'll see what happens, But like I said, I think the network has been extremely important for me to even be able to articulate it, because then Chris will tell you, and he can speak, he's the idea I have is not some regular Joe Schmo just gonna be able to pull it off unless you're able to add some nice framework to it, I think, So I don't know.
I still was. I still don't know what type of content though you want to deliver. I just wanted to call that out there, Chris. I know you said we could BS people, but or we could call their BS. But all I want to hear, Benny, the type of content. What is it? What am I expecting from Benny? You got it. You got to get clear on what it is you want to do.
Well, so no, you do. But one thing you learn in life is that there's certain things and you just don't put out there because you don't have to yet. That makes sense.
Listen,
I disagree with that. I disagree, Benny. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to call you out there.
Oh, dude, we're gonna do good cop, bad cop a lot. I can't wait.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why you shouldn't disagree. If you believe in energies, then you know that everybody's always listening, right? So when you put too many of your ideas out there into the world, into the universe, right? People then can share their energy, whether or not they want you to accomplish it, they don't want you to accomplish it, and I truly believe in that. You know, I really do. I do think that you don't put every idea you have out there into the world. I mean that.
Oh yeah, but I mean, just give me the industry. Is it going to be fitness or is it Web3? Because I'm very confused. I'm being very serious.
It'll be content creation. Like I want to talk to people who make internet money. The content will be internet money.
Like interviews.
If you make money on the internet, it'll be it'll be interview based internet money. I want to talk to people who make internet money.
There you go. I love that. That was clear.
I want to give you a framework,
okay,
Benny, and for the room too as well, because what we're doing right now is literally what you want to do. Having a conversation, it could be with one person, there could be a room full of people listening, or it could be the two of you in a solo interview, like recording space, right? Where each of you is having a conversation. And the framework that I've been doing over the past few months is I record on a program called StreamYard. And I know you've been here with me, so you've got to see it. For the room, if you haven't seen what StreamYard looks like, check out the link. It's at the top. It's kick.com/Shredditor. And all it is it's showing you the live feed that's coming from my StreamYard account. So it's me and Melina. We're sitting here. I have a very shoddy version of the live stream or the Twitter space, like layered on top of my face here on the live stream. But what it's actually recording is it's recording in 1080p, the full resolution, the full screen of Melina with no background image, no little cute name tag that says Melina, no Chris D next. It's just her, full screen, 1080p. It's also recording her sound. So when she's talking into that mic, it's recording as a separate soundtrack. And it's saving that separately from the same version of me. So it's got my audio, it's got the Twitter space pumping through my audio. And after this space is done, after we're done with the live stream in the Twitter space, I'll have a recording of Melina, of myself, and of how it visually looks right now on the live stream. It'll be 3 separate files that I can download and I can manipulate. I can send it to my editors. I can tell them what moments to clip up, what gem was dropped, how to turn that into a nice little 15-second piece. Or let's say that when Benny was speaking and he just went on like a 3-minute rant and it's an amazing clip, then I could actually have that moment clipped up and it can go live on YouTube. So there's a little piece of content there. The little short form videos, those can go live on Instagram and on Facebook Reels and on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. And by the way, Spotify is launching their short form video, like their whole shot at TikTok. That's coming up, and so is Reddit. So there's new emerging platforms where you can repurpose that same amount of content and just post it everywhere. So that's not for everybody. Some people only want to be heavy in one spot, but you can take that content and repurpose it all over the place, and it can all start with just doing a Twitter space. And Benny, you're so good at Twitter spaces, like understanding format and breakdowns. And if there's going to be a little section that's just about the news, then every single Twitter space you're going to do, if you live stream that, you can let your editor know to make sure you get that news segment today because it's got to go out by 2 p.m. or whatever. Benny, back to you. Question, sir.
How do we feel about it? This is more a question about how do we feel about all of these other platforms getting into the short form content? I mean, even Netflix, right, has these like short little form clips now. My daughter was showing me the other day on her iPad. Do you think people understand why TikTok was able to pull off what they're pulling off? or do you think everybody else is going to fail? Because I think it's more than the short form content that makes TikTok win, but more the search feature. Like when I go on TikTok, I can go to give me the best pasta restaurants in NYC, and it'll give me 50 videos that people have made with the best pasta restaurants in NYC, you know? And I think it's really more the search feature rather than just actual the short form content. But I was wondering what people thought about these other companies getting into it and how successful it can be.
What do you think, Melina?
I'm always torn by this question, Chris, because whatever it is, I don't care. I'm going to post everywhere. Like that's where I am at. And at the end of the day, it just depends where people are. I don't think it's the same. Look, my girlfriends, my friends, I see them. They're on one platform more than another. But I'm not trying to necessarily attract just one set of group of people on one platform. So I'll be honest, at this point with TikTok and the whole banning situation, I don't know what that's going to look like. But I'm at the point, Chris, where I'm trying to look more at YouTube Shorts because the SEO is there. People are searching more. I think we also saw this week that when you searching on Google now, YouTube Shorts appear.
Totally.
So I don't know, Benny. I'm torn with this one because I just post everywhere. Although that's an entirely other job, full-time gig to be able to manipulate all these platforms. Yeah, Chris, what do you think?
Well, I have a big, stupid, long answer. Action's got his hand up, and I'm guessing he's got an answer too. And I will talk to her. So let's go to Action first, and then I'll let you know what I think.
So I'm going to pull what my wife pulls on me. She goes n equals 1, okay? And that's basically the pull size that Benny is referring to. So Benny, I know you're saying that you love that search feature, but that's just your perception of it, right? There are 1,000,001 ways to utilize that same platform. And the reason why it became so popular may not be for the reason that you're using it. And that's something that a lot of these different companies sometimes miss the mark on. They think, oh yeah, this is what works. This is what works. This is what we want. And it might work for a specific type of content, but not for others. People binge watch those videos. That's the thing with that platform. They are literally scrolling to death. That's all they do. Most people are not doing the search feature like you are. They're literally scrolling for hours upon hours and not realizing what they're binging, but they are binging. And that's the thing here, that there a lot of us miss the mark. Like, yeah, do we want to put content everywhere? I think that's definitely the way to go about it, if you can streamline the process so you can maximize your reach regardless of the platform, because that's really what you're trying to achieve. But platforms do hit differently. So if it's a short content, I mean, you got to get somebody's attention in like 2 seconds. That's it. Otherwise, you're getting scrolled through. It's not necessarily based on that search, like you wanna, portray. But some people do search, so you got to optimize it for that search as well. So there's a whole lot to unpack on that very simple question, and I can talk forever too. So Chris, take it away.
Okay. So forgive me because I'm going to monologue longer than that. I come at this from a different perspective. I did the whole thing. I built a brand called Flyride. Recently hit 100K on YouTube. Yay. But I hadn't even been posting for a year. Right. And it just grew in the background. Now, not a single other platform did that happen. Every other platform shrank because I wasn't there. Right. And so I had posted on Snapchat and I did TikTok and I did Reels and Facebook. Well, I guess Facebook didn't shrink, but everywhere else did. And YouTube grew. And not only did it grow, but it made me money passively on the side. So there's that. That's one component to this. That is your platform going to continue to grow if you stop feeding it? Because most of them are hamster wheels. So most of them are, all right, little hamster, get on here and start running. And don't you ever slow down because we will punish you for it. And that's a not very healthy way to go about this. So I kind of come at it from a what can I sustain? And that is by not being a hamster. Like I'm not interested in the only way to win is I show up and run like hell for as long as I can go because you just run out of steam. But here's a completely different aspect to all this stuff. What about brands? Some brands are going to be on different networks, right? And their KPIs, that what they're looking for is how many people did we reach on TikTok? But if they're not on TikTok, if you're not making your content on TikTok because you like have some like, oh, I don't like TikTok, but I'm making TikTok style videos. I'm just not posting them there. Well, cool. Now you're not appealing to that brand. And there's going to be other brands that they're really heavy on Facebook, but they don't post TikToks or they don't have any of that stuff. But they know that they're seeing more and more Facebook is using Reels. What's the same damn piece of content? So I look at it from how can I get the maximum amount of mileage without me burning out? And then not only that is something will hit on TikTok and it won't work on Facebook. And then a different piece will hit on Instagram, but it won't hit on Facebook or TikTok. How are you going to know where your bangers are if you're saying I'm religiously only attached to one platform? That it doesn't do you any service to not see what of your stuff based on your tone for that video, the subject matter for that video, like all of these different factors come into play and you don't know up front. So if you get it out there on all these different places, you're going to get different data back. If you're a nerd and you're like me and you want to look in your analytics and your audience retention and all these different things, you can actually scrape some pretty cool stuff like, hey, on Facebook, they love it when the videos are this long, they're about this subject matter. And people hate it when I say this. And then the little devil pops up on my shoulder and goes, so you should probably do that because your comments are going to be loaded. All those haters, they're going to give you all that engagement of you said that word wrong or whatever. Like you could totally troll these bastards. So there's that. Tap, your beautiful hand is up. How are you, my friend? I haven't talked to you for a minute.
I know. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm ranting. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm probably a little bit off topic, but I genuinely have a question. Obviously being in the little FinTwit Twitter world and the Web3 world, and seeing a lot of people trying to take a stab at creating content and whatnot like that. And girl in the verse is obviously, you're very gifted at what you do. You have a talent and that comes across very clear. Now, my question for you guys is that can somebody who maybe doesn't have the gifting or isn't really geared towards, let's say they're just not good at it. Let's say they're just don't do well in front of the camera or whatever it is. And, we can do the whole, practice makes perfect and just keep going at it and blah, blah, blah. But bottom line, that there's just some people that kind of are more interesting than other people. And, it's kind of, I think of it as like the American Idol syndrome, right? Where you have the person who goes in because their mom tells them their whole life that they're like a good singer. And then they go in and make a fool out of themselves. And like, the judges tell them the truth, right? And then they go outside and their mom is still like, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, you're amazing, and they're just like failing at something their whole life because it's really not what they're supposed to be doing. And so my question for you is, when it comes to content creation, is there a way to make people who genuinely are not gifted and really suck at creating content actually good if they have the right people around them?
So I definitely have a take on this too, but the fact that Martina does the same thing as I do and helps people with on camera presence, I think is a big thing. And like, I gotta say, I know in some countries you can get fake implants to make it look like you got big buff muscles, but where I come from, you got to do the push-ups. So there's that. Like, you can't shortcut the muscles being real. Like you can, but like buying followers, like you fool all the idiots and all the people that matter to see your big vanity metrics. They know that you're completely full of shit. So there's that side of things. But I do think you can lean into your strengths. So if you've got an amazing voice and we talk to people like this all the time on Twitter Spaces, they have an amazing voice, but they're freaked out about their face being on camera. So I'm like, don't fucking show your face then. I don't know. Just show whatever it is that you're talking about. There's a rule in video creation that is, if you're talking about something and you're not showing it and you can show it, then you're screwing up. You got to show the thing that you're talking about every opportunity that you can. And in the case of now with the short form content, like the ability to change up a visual in a 15-second video, I want to have 11 visual changes minimum. That means I say something at the beginning, you see the hook, then it changes over to the thing I'm talking about. Then it goes back to my face. Then I zoom in on my face. There's 4 visual changes. And then if I change and throw some text on screen. And I might say a couple words that I really want to emphasize. Mr. Beast does this a lot. Black screen, big, bold, white text, and it says the words that he's saying. It just writes the words that he's saying. You can mix up all of this stuff in a lot of different ways. And if I have 11 visual changes in a 15-second video, who says any of those have to be my face? Because they don't. Okay, Melina, you.
I'm going to take this one. Okay. Thank you so much, Tap. I appreciate you so much. So here's what I will say. There's obviously, you can get coached, right? Chris knows this is what I do. I help women get comfortable in front of a camera. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the times we're just programmed to believe that we're not good enough to do it to begin with. So I really encourage people to just get out of their heads. And, you know, I keep saying it, and I'm just going to keep saying it, and I will keep saying it forever. But you're never going to like your first videos. It's just part of it, you know. Chris and I, we don't go back and we watch these videos and we're like, look at us, look how good we look.
I look terrible right now, by the way. Like, oh,
we're not here like, yeah, look at my voice, yeah, I love it, and like we don't do that. Like, we're also cringing, and I want people to know that too. Is that I will watch a piece of my content and be like, oh my god, I look ridiculous, right? And I remember too, when I started the crypto news update, I thought to myself, people are gonna think I'm dumb. And I was actually glad that people told me, no, you're not, you don't look dumb. But let me tell you, I feel really dumb when I do it. But what I want to get into is sometimes it's just the limiting beliefs that are stopping us from doing it. And also, I think we've reached a point, and we've said it before, there are tons of content creators out there right now. So the pool is huge, and it's also a huge pool to compare ourselves with everybody else online. What I will say though, I think what's working right now in terms of short form content, and I myself haven't done it yet, is, you know, those day in the lives, or like those girls who are putting on makeup and sharing a story. But what I think works, Chris, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I think works with that type of content is, first, it looks very personable. It looks like you're just in your, you know, your bathroom and you're putting on your makeup. But also, when I watch those girls do that type of content, they are talking about a story. They're sharing a story. There's like some sort of like storyline, and then they end it. So what I always encourage people to do is figure out what you can talk about for maybe more than a minute, and then just do it. Just go live, go talk about it, and then figure out how you want to do all the editing and adding captions and all that. I think at the beginning, it's always about figuring out, what can I talk about for more than 2 minutes without looking at a script, without feeling like I'm copying somebody else, something that really feels like myself, right? I see Chris here nodding, but I would really encourage people, and I think that's a step that a lot of us, we fail to make, and which is why I was asking Benny, what are you doing? Is it fitness? Is it this? Because we hear it all the time. Like, I want to do this and I want to do that, but I want people to hone in on one thing first, get specific and clear, and then figure it out along the way.
That was a great, yeah. And to the point about, and then we're going to go to Benny, and then we're going to go to Dude Lifts, and then action. But to the point of the scripts, without a script, I wish I could hang that on the damn wall. Without a script, if there's a couple bullet points that you need, like as a North Star of like, it's kind of keep me on track. You'll hear oftentimes I'll mention that I'm about to land my plane because I know I've been talking for a minute, or I'll say to bring it full circle because I know I've like taken you on 18 tangents, and I want to let you know I'm bringing it back to the original question. Bullet points help you do that. And if you can start talking about something for a couple minutes at a time, or even for 15 seconds or 20 seconds at a time, and you make sure that you hit those key points, infinitely better than a script. Because you know who wants to be read the PowerPoint that's showing on the screen? Literally nobody ever. Nobody likes that shit. If you write all your stuff down and then you read it, you're going to sound like you're reading it. And it's not going to be good. And if you're really good at reading teleprompters and scripts and things, and, you know, like having it sound natural, well, then you're an actor. And then you're not making authentic content of you. You're acting. And that's not what we're talking about here. So,
Tap, I hope that helped, though. I hope I don't sound like just go do it, because I wanna make sure that people know, and maybe relate back to my story. Like, I've been creating content for a long time, but I never would have thought to do crypto news the way I'm doing it now. It just was something that I felt like, okay, I can do this, and then I committed to it. But and we all know nobody was doing it. So yeah, I just want to make sure that people understand that sometimes it's not about what everybody else is doing, but figuring out what can I do myself with my time that I feel like is authentic to myself.
Authenticity. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I think what you just said hit it on the head. Is I think people are too busy copycatting that some things that have already been done, which is fine if you want to, I guess, trend on some trend. But I think being the most interesting version of yourself and capitalizing on that, I'm just a huge fan of that. And I think that you have just done a wonderful job at that, honestly.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Just, who would have thought? Who would have thought? I didn't. I certainly didn't.
Very
Who's
cool.
next? Who's next?
All right, let's go to Benny. His hand is about to fall off. What's up?
And I just want to remind people, you can ask questions in the chat box, share the space to all of your content creator friends, please.
Yeah, hop on Kick, everybody, please. Like, I mean, because I'm just trying to get up here and gather all the clout that I can. I'd love to have some followers on Kick. I'm trying to keep up with these kids that just found live stream for the first time ever.
And stay tuned. We're gonna have some POAP giveaway. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're gonna give some worthless stuff away as chum at the end here. Anyway, Benny, over to you. What's up, sir?
I just wanted to harp on a point that was brought up. People, get coaches. If there's something you really want to do that you feel like you're not the best at, get a coach or a mentor or somebody you admire who may do it better than you, and don't be scared to do that. I think that sometimes, especially when we become adults, we don't want to be students anymore. And I think the process of learning never ends, and it's so important to always take the place of a student. So I really, really wanted, because that was alpha. And it's not something that's talked, especially in this space. Like, if you feel like, especially if you're a good speaker, people who say they're a good speaker who aren't good on camera is crazy, because just talk and turn the camera on and act like it's not there. And your oratorial skills will do the rest of the work for you, But I really want to harp on that coach part, because, man, so many people would do better with not even a coach, a mentor, somebody to lean on, somebody to bounce ideas off of, somebody to hold you accountable. Like, I think that that's something that's super important.
Love that. Thank you for that, because I think, especially as people, that once you get good at something, if you stop learning, like, everything's going to pass you by. Like, you got to keep learning every day. I paid somebody $1,000 in January to help me with my TikToks. Like, and I didn't use that like I should have. And I should have tripled down on it. This is one of the best guys out there to do it. I don't think everybody needs to spend $1,000 a month on anything, but you can. And at the highest level, some people spend $50,000 a month on coaches. I mean, there's no ceiling to stuff like that, but always pushing yourself and finding mentors and people that have done the thing that you're trying to do. Like, that's huge. And speaking of somebody who's done something that I want to do, Dude Lifts. Some of the coolest content out there right now is this, like, VTuber style, or back to Tap's point, or to anybody that's wanting to make content and not necessarily like have all that on stage presence. There's a lot of stuff that's coming down the pipeline for doing this stuff with your PFP, where you've got AR masks or the 2D art that's actually responsive and it's moving and it's blinking when you blink and talking when you talk. Dude Lifts, hands up. Don't want your little doodle hand to fall off there. What's up?
Oh, I appreciate it. I didn't expect the compliment, so I appreciate that. And I could certainly talk more about that if you'd like me to. But I had a question. I loved everything that we're talking about as far as like authenticity goes, because I think that was something I was thinking about. Like, and this is something I don't know if I have figured. I definitely don't think I have figured out, but I'd be curious your take on it. Like, I imagine there's a lot of stuff that is quote unquote like working right now. Like, you hear that phrase a lot, like, oh, this is what's hot right now. This is how many cuts you need to have right now. Like, and how do you balance that between like creating content that's authentic to you and what is quote unquote working right now? Like, what's the calculus on that? How do you guys think about that?
I think that's a good question, man. That's a really good one because you can get lost in chasing what's new. I've heard even to the point of coaches, I've heard so many coaches, all you have to do is pay attention to what's hot and then just tell everybody else to do that and charge them money. I hate that. I think that's so dumb. And it sucks because you'll take advantage of all the suckers. But I do think that there is something to be said about someone who could see your strengths and say, you're really good at that thing. Have you thought about doing that? Because that's hot right now. Like that's the thing. And if you didn't know that that's doing really well for certain people right now, like you could really lean into that and kind of focus on people's strengths. Sometimes coaches see something in the people that they're helping that person doesn't see in themselves. But I also think it comes down to friction and what you're going to be able to be consistent at. Because if there's a lot of friction and it's like every single time you go to do that, it's kind of hard. It kind of, like it takes you longer to get it done. But then there's another thing that you could be doing that just comes more natural to you. If you can win by doing something that's natural to you, and this is where I'll leave it, do that. Because I've seen some people who put on a show, they do they almost like act. They have like an alter ego or a character that they play, and everybody thinks that that's who they are. And they do their YouTube channel or they do their whatever, and they really think like all their audience thinks that that is them, and they're putting out effort and dealing with the friction to pretend that there's somebody else. I've met those people in real life when the camera's not rolling. They're miserable. They're like, oh my God, I got to do the stupid thing again. They resent their following because their following wants them to be this thing that they don't want to be. So like, don't fall into the trap of being who everyone else wants you to be if it doesn't feel good, because you're going to have to keep that. What happens if you get really successful at that? Now you're stuck. That's why we have the word golden handcuffs. You got to keep doing that shit and you don't like it.
I was going to say, I always say this, and I want to tattoo that, although I don't like tattoos, but maybe I'll frame it. But being somebody else is exhausting. It's really exhausting. It'll suck the life out of you. So try to, and that's the thing, right? It's being you. And again, I'm going to go back to this, a lot of the people I've coached, and which is why, like, I was tapping into that with Tap there, but the first thing they used to tell me was not about like they had a product. They knew what they wanted to do content about. They knew what they were comfortable doing. But the one thing that they were worried about was posting that video for fear of what mom is going to say, what my friends are going to say, what is my partner going to say. And it was all the fears of what people were going to say. So I want to make sure that we get that off, we understand that sometimes this content is not for mom. It's not for your friends, right? That's one thing. I don't know for you, Chris, but I remember like coaching people and they'd be like, well, what are my friends going to say? And I was like, well, it's this fitness content for your friends or for like people that you want to follow you for fitness, right? And so it's tapping into all of that. But going back to this question of, how do you, like do all this stuff, right? What was his question again?
How do you keep up with what's hot? What's the latest thing? Is that something that you need to keep a hardcore pulse on what's hot? I think
it depends your content. Like, if it's crypto related, I think it's hot for the 2 minutes. And then by the time you do that video, you're going to realize real soon that trend is over to begin with. But I don't focus too much on trends, I'll be honest, because trends go away. And as we do video, and I think a lot of you will probably know, it takes more time than to just hop on a Twitter space and talk about something and then be done with it, or to tweet something out. You got to do that video, write a script, edit, and by the time you come back, it's probably a day later if you're lucky, or within that day. I don't do trends too much, but I will do like a trending audio and tap it into my niche. So it's not so much about a trend. Like, let's say, I don't know what people are talking about right now. I don't know. Like at one point the trend was talking about Rihanna because she was at the Super Bowl. I won't follow that necessarily, but I would do a trending audio. And the reason why is because you don't want to be always feeling like you have to constantly be on top of things too. Cause I think that's what gets exhausting too, Chris.
Yeah, 100%. And there are different parts of things that are trendy. I love all these hands. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Most of the time people don't want to ask questions. They're like they're nervous or they're worried about it. And I have so many things to say. By the way, to the room, to reset. I see so many awesome people in here. Some of my favorite people on crypto Twitter in the room right now. So we appreciate you guys all for being here. And if you want to look at our silly faces, well, hers isn't silly, mine is. Just join us. I got the thing linked up at the top on kick.com. But trending music, you said really quick. For people that don't know, there's something of a virality attached to a song, music on something like TikTok, right? Or Instagram Reels, it's the same thing. So you put up your video and then you add a song to your video that you made. And you can adjust that song. You can actually adjust the volume of that song to 0. So you can't even hear it. And still, when somebody searches that song, if your content is on there, it will show up in the results attached to that song. You become part of its virality, right? And so what happens is you can take a really popular song that's just hitting, maybe
Flower.
there's so many things that it could be, and it changes all the time. But before it gets too massive, if it's got like 80,000 uses or something like that, that's a really nice little spot where you can use a song, adjust it down to the level that you want it to be at, and then your content has the chance to catch that virality where it can get kind of swept along in that like rushing river, if you will. If it's got 18 million views on that song, you're probably going to get lost. It's like you're a drop in the bucket, right? But sometimes you can use that stuff to your advantage, and it doesn't even have to be on brand for you. It just happens to be that it's a viral song. Now there's a complete separate train of thought, which is not only should you be making original content, but you should only use your original sound. And then the algorithm, the stuff that's promoting you is going to see that, and it can give you a higher favorability depending on your content. So all of these things are always like, it depends, which is an annoying ass answer, but it is true. It is true. So I would try stuff for sure. Where do we go from here, Melina?
Well, I want to listen to other people. I want to see what other people have as questions. This is space number 1. We're going to eventually curate them a bit more so we can, dive deeper into different topics. Of course, send us all your ideas because we are doing this for everyone. Who's next?
Well, I know Action had his hand up. I'd like to go to Action really quick, and then we're going to go over to Greg. And I don't know if MKT or Sebastian was first, but what's up, Sebastian? Oh my God. And we got Ben, we got too many people. I'm realizing how unrealistic it is to be good at this for me at this moment, but let's go over to Action.
Hey, Chris. So I want to bring something up that you guys don't talk about often, but it's exactly what you do every single day. You help people. And I think that kind of goes, unspoken a lot of times. The reason why I'm here is because you were talking about content creation. And I said, hey, this guy knows what it's like to be in my shoes. And I want to make sure that I can support him in whatever it is that he's up to. So it doesn't matter what your spaces are about. I'm going to join if you send me a message and say, hey, Vic, you want to come over and talk? I'm going to be here anytime you need me. And the reason I do that is because I do it for other people. Like today, I'm actually got a premiere going on YouTube right now. And Wolf Financial is part of the video. And the reason I was able to get somebody that has over 150,000 subscribers on Twitter to retweet my tweet and actually talk to me on camera is because of exactly that, helping other people. All I did was reach out to him and say, hey, I know you're creating YouTube videos now. Let me give you a little bit of insight. Here are a couple of things that you can do better. And I've sat with him 2 or 3 times now for 30 minutes at a time, just kind of walking through things, just to honestly help. It, not looking for anything in return, but in turn, these connections, they are so long lasting and they can propel whatever it is that you're creating to such new heights and new audiences as well, which is just unheard of. Like in other spaces, like we have access to so many high level people. And since we're talking Web3 here, I mean, Wolf, yeah, he's more in the stock world, but he's also part of Web3. Like Tiffany Fong, for example, that's another one. Like I've helped her with stuff and I'm never looking for anything in return. But whenever like something comes up, that connection makes a huge difference. And all I've done for these people is just to try to help them. And in turn, they've helped me tremendously.
That's so true, man. And you teed that up so perfect for Greg right now, because I want to toss it over to Greg in a second here. But what you said about helping, that's huge. I love the help content. And when I met Melina, it was the same thing. I was like, there were certain things where I was like, I just need to talk to this person, plant some seeds. Same thing with Benny. Same thing with so many people here in the space where it's like they could be performing at a high level, and you could be like, there's this other thing that's out there, and if you haven't done it, like maybe it's worth checking out. Damn it. Oh my God. I hope I didn't just lose my audio. Did I? To the space. Can I get a thumb up? I got a call. Sometimes that kills everything. I swear to God.
You're back. You're back. You're back.
Okay, I love it. All right. So here's the thing. I was talking about with Greg was Greg has some really kick-ass tweets, right? Some viral tweets. And he did a space yesterday to help people. To the subject of following people around and just supporting them. I really want to do that. And I want to tell the whole room here that I'm actively looking for people who want to host spaces, not to do anything for me, to do it for themselves. So I could show up and support and help direct as many people to follow and raid that space to just, if there's a creator space every single day, I want to know about it. I want to help funnel people to that space because we need more of it. Because there's, Greg was dropping fire yesterday about getting these tweets to go viral, and it was awesome. And I want to be in those spaces, and I want other people to have access to them as well. So that was just one thing. And then the other thing, this is a tip for the whole room, but it's specifically for Greg. Greg, I saw you make a video. Good job on that. And I want to tell you something. If you turn your phone around and when you make a video, a selfie video, talking, to your phone, what you end up doing is you look at your face on the selfie video. That's why it's really hard to make eye contact if you're using your front-facing camera. Not only that, it's actually a lower quality camera than your rear-facing camera. So for the room, if you ever want to practice making quick videos, little selfie videos, get it all ready. Make sure that you're using your rear-facing camera so you can't see yourself if you're looking at the screen. And then physically turn your phone around and look into the little circular lens in the corner of your phone. Talk to that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to make kick-ass eye contact, and it's going to be a higher quality video. And then when your audience is watching that video, they're going to have you looking right into their eyes. If you don't take my advice and you do a selfie video, look at Greg's video that he did today. Great video. Stoked that he did it. He's not looking at you. He's looking at himself because he's a human. And that's what we do. We look at ourselves in a group photo. We look at ourselves. I'm watching myself on the live stream right now instead of looking at the camera lens. And it's different. So, Greg, I want you to try that too on your next video. Flip the phone around, talk to the rear-facing camera, and people ask, well, how do you get lined up? You'll figure it out. Just do it. I swear it'll work out. What's up, Greg?
And that, my friends, is why we listen to Chris, and we're in this room. And yeah, I ran an impromptu room yesterday with my buddy Kyron, and we just wanted to, every week we talk on the phone about our content, and we kind of workshop it and just rip it apart, no holds barred. Like, you got to tell people what's wrong with their shit so that they can make it better. And we decided, hey, let's just do it live tomorrow. So that was, 2 days ago. So then yesterday, Chris joined in, and he was a, big help in terms of bringing people in the room and getting the conversation going. And so I really appreciate you, bro. And yeah, if you guys keep doing these rooms, I will be here every single time because this is just such a great topic. And everybody, I say this all the time, and I think I kind of stole this from Gary Vee. He said this a few years ago, but he's like, doesn't matter what industry you're in, you're also a content company, right? It's like you make soap, content. You make videos. You make like signs, content. Like, you make fucking baseball gloves. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. You need to make content. Otherwise, you're going to go out of business. And so this is relevant to everybody, whether they realize it or not. There's an incredible amount of reach you can get across all these different platforms. One thing that you guys were talking about that stuck with me, there's just a lot of people that are trying to get going and get off the ground and do that first video and kind of just get started. And something that, worked for me is like, you have those nerves and you have that insecurity, potentially, specifically around getting on video perhaps. And what you can do is like use those nerves to your advantage. Like, it's okay to be hard on yourself. I think that's actually really important. Great people are incredibly hard on themselves. Obviously, you have to balance that. And so it's like, use your, perfectionist and insecurity side of you to make really fine-tuned, detail-oriented content, and then also have a support system that can help you, bounce ideas and tell you what's right and what's wrong and what's good and what's not from a place of love, and be able to lean on them when, you have feelings about, you're unsure about this or about that. So it's that fine balance, and it's really important. And so, like, in the 1% Club, which is this, NFT Gods Discord, which Chris and I and a bunch of other people and Benny and other people are in here, that's an example of something that I use. I call my brother and bounce stuff off him, even my parents, to get like a different generation's point of view on certain things. There's, you should have people in your life that you can bounce things off, but don't throw away, like, don't be mad at yourself or think that, oh, I'm too insecure, I can't. It's like, that's a good thing. You should be looking at your stuff with a really sharp eye, and you should be ripping it apart. And on top of that, to take that a step further, is like, once you post something, chances are you're going to immediately have that like buyer's regret or that poster's regret, right? You're going to be like, oh, I should have changed this, I should have changed that, especially after it's an hour in, you're not getting the views you wanted. Like, that's good too, because then you can say, all right, now that I see it and it's live, you just see it in a different light, and you're like, okay, my hook, not that good right there. Like, I would have changed that. Like, this post down here, maybe I should have done it bold here, or should have added an image, or maybe that image should have been a video. And so move fast and break things, right? That's what they say. So that's something that's been really working for me the last couple of weeks, is just violent iteration is what I'm calling it. And every day just kind of digging into exactly what I did wrong so that I can try it again the next day. Obviously, that involves detaching from the outcome of your short-term engagement to some degree and being okay with that. And really, it's so overplayed, but it's so true. Falling in love with the process, really being like, okay, I like the fact that I can take this data that I have and try something else. And if you go and you don't give up, and you lean on your support system, and you're hard on yourself, and you pay attention and you try new things, you will win.
I love that. Melina, how has your experience been? And thank you, Greg, because like, I know Greg's, a lot of his content is very much in that vein of that, like, understanding that being hard on yourself or working on yourself in general is like, that is worth it. You should absolutely have high expectations of yourself, set big goals, go after them and all that. And there is something to say about expectation and kind of having like almost like a down moment after you post. You've kind of like let something go, and then, sometimes maybe you think it's going to do amazing, and then you have this expectation, you're sitting there like waiting for it to happen, and then if it doesn't, you kind of get bummed out. Melina, how has your expectation been managed with when you post? Because you post a lot and you work hard.
I'm so annoying. Look, I think I'm past the state. Like, I'm one of those people who's not about the numbers at all, because at the end of the day, this Web3 stuff, let's face it, not everyone gets it. So, the bar's already low. Honestly, if you go on my TikTok, a lot of the comments is crypto's a scam. And then you just got to let it go. You're like, okay, dude, I didn't even mention crypto in this video, but okay, yeah, I think it's at this point, and I'll say it this way, but sometimes it's not even about the metrics. It's about who you want to see this video. Who do you want? Who do you want to see this video? Like, who's the guy that you're like, I hope he gets this video on his feed? And that's where I'm at too. And then as a content creator, the next step is, what's the business? Like, who do I want to catch attention? Like, sometimes it's not even about the audience. It's about who can I build partnerships with this type of content. And then, when I had an audio video podcast for about 3 years, which was all about Web2 marketing and doing all this video stuff. And only this year in January, I decided I'm going to do a video podcast that's going to be all about Web3 and crypto, and really beginner level. I want this to be digestible for people. And I decided to do it on StreamYard as well. And, of course, like, if you were to ask me, well, Melina, do you prefer having a live studio with like, the whole lot? Of course, I'd love to be able to say to my guests, like, come to my studio, but it's just not where we're at. And I'm also at the point of, or the stage of, not caring for the studio, but more about just getting it out there. Let's just show people what I'm capable of doing and not making it about, and I trust me, guys, Chris looks really good tonight. I've got my ring light here. He's got all that equipment. He's got that purple light in the background. It looks awesome. But I'm also of the just get it done. Just get it done.
It also
Like,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, also it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly.
Like, if I sound like a bozo up here anyway, then it doesn't matter how I look, does it? Because if I'm not helping anybody, if I'm just talking about myself, I have heard so many very talented, accomplished people waste my fucking time talking about themselves. And I'm like, I could have been learning from you, dude. Like, I could have been breaking through and doing all these things, but instead I'm hearing about how many things they sold at what age and blah. I'm like, what do I do with that? You know, so does it matter what the background looks like? No, it actually doesn't matter at all if you're just being an asshole and you're talking about yourself the whole time. And then the flip of that is true, right? It doesn't matter if you're sitting in the corner or you're outside by a tree or there's something that's not perfect. If your content helps me, I care about that more than the asshole with the cool background, for sure, every time. And so I think starting where you're at matters a lot. And then not to mention you take somebody on your journey. That's pretty cool, right? You're helping them. And as you're helping them, your stuff starts looking better. And you're like excited because now when you get a win, they get a win. Hey guys, check out my new mic. I'm pumped. I had to save up for a while, but I got the SM7B, like all the internet schmucks, and now I sound fantastic. Like, yes, your experience gets better, mine gets better. We get to keep doing this thing together. That's dope. So yeah, I mean, I definitely would say like for people that think you have to have a certain amount of coolness at some level, no, you don't. Just wherever you're at right now, just start, because then you take them along the journey with you.
Look, let's face it, Chris. I think every TikTok video is effing ugly, like especially with the green screen. But that's the hottest thing.
Yeah.
So I think like if I go back to my production days, I'm like my producers would be like, "What? This is disgusting," but it works. So let's get out of our heads. It's not about being the prettiest. It's just about doing it. So, and it works. It truly works on TikTok. So
I haven't known the best way to go about it. So I've just defaulted to be an asshole, but I've said so many times, it doesn't matter how you look. I'm a dude. I haven't shaved in days and days. Like, I do not care. You just gave me a compliment. I'll take it. But here's the thing. Like, if I'm talking to a woman and I say it doesn't matter how you look, I actually think that, and I know I'm not allowed to say what I think because I'm a dude and I don't know what it's like to have a uterus and all the things, but I think the women in the space and the content creators that are here that are women are amazing. And half the time they're creators that never show up on video. I love that you do. I love that the quality of your videos is awesome, Alina. I love that the thought that goes into them. You're not sitting on the edge of your bed lip syncing a popular song. I mean, you could. It might do great. You could do a better video, but you know that the thing that does work is the green screen with the thing in the background. And you know that it's a little, for you, maybe cringe, but it's what people are used to consuming. And so it works and it gets through. I see K Money down there in the audience. I see Fungible. There's all these people out there. And Alex, by the way, you're cooler than everybody in the room because you followed me on Kick. Take that, K Money. But I would just say it matters if you show up. It doesn't matter how you look, how your background looks, all those other things. It doesn't matter.
Look,
So,
I'll say it because I am a woman. I'm sure I would be making more money if I was showing a few things, but F it. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So there's also those things to consider, but that's not the game I'm trying to play. And obviously, it's always about the long-term play, because $10,000 sounds really good today, but what does that mean for the next 60 years, right? So, yeah, you gotta think about those things too.
I love it. And I also, on the thing about women and me not knowing what the thing to do, I know that there's always dudes asking mad questions, so I'm going to bypass the dudes really quick. We're going to go to Amina, and then we're going to go to more hands after that. But Amina, you've had your hand up for a long time. How you doing? How can we help?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you. It's been a really informative space, honestly. It's so nice to hear so much good advice, and as Action said earlier, you're just doing it to help people, which at the end of the day, is what Web3 is about. So super happy about that. Thank you. I just had a really quick question. So actually two. So if you could answer both, that'd be great. One would be, so with consistency, right? Like that's something people struggle with a lot. Like even personally, I was making content on Instagram for a few years now, but I really struggle with consistency. If there is any tips that you guys would suggest, generally what you would do to pull yourself, to pull yourself out of that slump and to just keep pushing content out, that'd be great. That was my first question. And then maybe I'll jump into the second one, which was, I have a lot of interests. I'm curious about like so many different things as a person, I'm a founder, but I'm also an artist. Like I just do a lot. I'm also really into motivational stuff, and just spreading positivity. So I'm just curious if, how would you suggest to kind of like sharpen out your messaging and what your brand is about, what you are, right? Because at the end of the day, we market ourselves. So yeah, just tips on those two would be great.
Great question, Melina. That is you. The consistency.
I'm
oh
like
my-
I'm like breathing heavy. A lot to unpack. Let's start with the consistency. I always say start with one video a week. Like just don't give yourself all this pressure. Start with at least like one piece of content. I know we're talking a lot about video, but one piece of content. The second thing, maybe what you're feeling is just overwhelmed in the sense of you're not sure what to be doing. And this is a really good example. So I'm going to ask you here, Amina, what are your interests? What are the different things that you're not sure what to start with?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I mean, I'm a founder. I have my own digital fashion studio. So I make digital fashion. It's called Crown. So, that's a whole line of business, which pretty much takes up a majority of my time. But I'm also a painter. So I make like fine art, stuff like that. But I'm also, as I said, like I'm into motivational stuff. So I was thinking, maybe to take each platform and to push out a different interest on that. But then I was thinking that's so messy and it would be confusing. So, maybe to focus on TikTok to make like motivational short video content. Maybe to focus.
I always do that. I'm so dumb. My bad.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack because it's all different stuff. So here's my next question. What do you want to be known for?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's work.
Yeah,
You don't have to, and you know what? Amina, I'll tell you this. You don't even have to answer me right now. I would say sit on this question, think about it. And listen, motivational stuff, you can throw that in. But I would strongly suggest everyone in the crowd today. I am really of the notion of one thing first. And I always give this example, Chris, Kardashians, right? We all love them no matter what we say or love to hate them. The Kardashians were known for one thing first, and then they dived into 20 other 1,000 billion businesses, right? But it was one thing first. And now they started doing Skims and like the fashion stuff and the makeup and whatnot. But originally it was one thing. I can't remember what that one thing was, but it was, or just being known to be known. But I would suggest,
Yeah.
what?
That was first thing that happened was a sex tape. True story.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, whatever. But be known for one thing first. So I would dive deeper into figuring out, do I want to be known as a founder for fashion, or do I want to be a fashion leader, or do I want to be a painter? I'm not saying you can't mix all three. But at the top of my head, what I would be focusing on is the founder, because I feel like that is the business side of you, and then incorporating the painting. Right? So incorporating how the painting would work. So let's say day in the life, get ready with me, you're painting, but talking about you as a founder, but I would hone in on focusing on one thing that you want to be known for first. And yeah, that's what I would do.
I agree with that. And
that's great advice. Great advice.
Something too about, what we want to do. I see it happen all the time as a creator. Like you'll start putting out content, and then there'll inevitably be one thing that you put out that does better than other things. And so instinctively you kind of are like the dopamine, you're like, I gotta keep doing that. So you put out more. But then you realize sometimes like, I actually really want to be talking about this other aspect of myself. And you try it and it doesn't give you the same rush. It doesn't have the same results. And so you'll just avoid doing that. Like, well, that didn't work. But that can kind of be a trap too. So I think as a multi-talented person or somebody with all these different interests, I think it is worth finding certain platforms. Like on YouTube, you will absolutely be punished for that. So don't do it on YouTube. But on TikTok, you're going to be hitting a brand new fresh audience with every single video. Even if you post a video and it gets 1 million views, did you know if you post that same video the next day, it's going to get seen by a ton of people, it's going to work, and it's going to be a different 1 million people that are going to see that video? Like, there's no rule that says you're not allowed to post the same video twice or 3 times in a row. I was in a space yesterday with my buddy Michael. He's amazing when it comes to TikTok and just the nerd ass math and data behind it. And he was like, he told one of his, he's a coach guy, and he told one of his people, like, that video you posted, it did so well. Post it again. And she did. And he said, post it again. She's like, are you kidding me? He said, yeah, just post it again. He said, not only did she post it a second and a third time, she posted it 7 times, and it was a banger every time. Why? Because it wasn't showing to the same people, right? So, like, I say that because if you have multiple interests and you want to test some stuff, like, you can, there is an algorithm. So if it's a completely different audience, like, you're probably going to confuse the algorithm. If you're normally talking about, computer science, and then your next post is about the whales, like, maybe it'll throw things off, but maybe not. Maybe you throw a banger out there. And if it's good content, a lot of times good content wins. But having a variety channel is kind of a dying art. It's been dead actually for a while on YouTube. So, like, there is something to say about a niche, and spreading yourself too thin by trying to chase too many rabbits at the same time. Like, pretty likely you're not going to catch anything if you're chasing all these different rabbits. So
I was going to add one point, Chris, because you gave a good, you made me think about something. There's something to be said too about understanding if there's a market that is willing to pay for this. And what I mean by paying is likes, comments, and getting all of that stuff. So you also need to, it's not so much like I want people to go test out everything. It's also figuring out, is there a need for this? Is there a need to talk about being a founder or fashion or painting? And that's figuring that out on your own as well. But I would say too, sometimes it's also probably not going to be what you truly want to do too, but there's a need for it. So maybe the need is more painting and not founder. We don't know yet. We have to test that out, but it's also figuring out if there's a market willing to pay for it. The other thing I'm going to say too is I want people to know too, it's important to keep people accountable, right? I want to make sure that as creators, and I know Chris and I have many stories, but I want to make sure that people get paid fairly for the stuff that they do, right? We're here tonight giving out free content, but if you do reach out to people and you reach out to coaches and people help you out, I want to make sure that things get moved across and people get paid for, the time that they've been giving out to people. So I want to make that clear. And I know Chris and I will dive deeper maybe in a couple of weeks.
Space. Yeah, I was just saying
next space, because I know that's a hot topic, right? Too, payments and what to write on contracts too for content creators. So just wanted to throw that out there too. I mean, I hope that was helpful.
And
it was fantastic. Thank you so much, you guys. Really great.
Well, please keep coming back and ask those kind of questions again. And like the perfect guy to throw that to, I know he's filming right now, but K Money could tell you a little bit about making certain types of content and knowing that it does well in one place, but it doesn't mean it's going to do well across the board on all the other platforms. Because if you're talking about something that almost nobody cares about outside of Twitter, then like it's just not going to hit. You know what I mean? And you could know that it's great content, but if nobody knows what the hell you're talking about because you're posting it on a platform like Instagram or on Facebook, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, how could they know if it's funny or not, or if it's helpful or not? It's like, how is it going to hit the mark if there's no mark to hit? If there's nobody there to consume your content. So that's one side of things. I do want to go over to Sebastian, and he's actually a really talented dude that I'm excited to be working with on a new project coming up here. But Sebastian, what's up, brother? How can we move this to you? I caught a K Money, but Sebastian,
I know.
We'll go over to Kevin after that.
Hey, what's up, Chris? Hello, Melina. Thank you for letting me up and speak. I just have a question. I would like to know what's your take on what do you guys do when you have like, okay, let me just give you a little bit of context. When you have like multiple ideas, how do you narrow those ideas to create the new content?
Kind of the same question that that Amina just asked, and I think if you have multiple ideas, like I would always ask yourself, and if you have the time to look into the data and be a nerd about it, like do some searches. There's some really cool things like Ask the Public is one of the websites. You can do keyword search, like see what kind of results there are. Like if you do a search for NFTs right now and you look up how many people are searching for that, is nothing like it was a year ago. Like no one gives a shit anymore. So they're not looking for it. So if you're making videos that are hitting on that, then 100% it's not going to do as well as if you were making a video about AI, because right now everybody's talking about AI. So you can do some of that that looking around for it. But I guess since it is on the same question, and I'm not a big fan of like you're a big deal, cut the line. But in this case, I actually want to fucking know. K Money, how do you make a video based on multiple different ideas and then to the point? With the Mina is like, what if there's different facets of you and you want to make videos on different ones? How do you pick that video? What's a good answer to that?
Okay, so thank you for having me walking around Hollywood Lake right now. But all right, so what I would do is like if you have like multiple ideas and you just like don't know which one to pick first, I would just go with whatever is the most time sensitive one. Like for instance, yesterday I made a video. It's about Silicon Valley Bank and USDC. I had 4 other videos I'm working on this week, but that one was like priority because that's what the topic of conversation is right now. So I pushed that one out first. Like more likely than not, the other ones will likely be like evergreen kind of content, so you don't have to like prioritize those as much. And then yeah, I think like Chris, you were giving like great answers like about like I think like starting off with like one niche and like narrowing down and focusing on one thing and then expanding from there. I think that's probably the best way to go personally. That doesn't mean stop being interested in those other things that like make you who you are. That doesn't mean like stop like exploring ideas and things like that. But I think just because like when you're first starting out, like content creation, it's so grueling and time consuming and it just feels like a big hurdle. So like I would just make it easier on yourself and just focus on one thing and then become excellent and great at that one thing and then start expanding from there.
I love that answer. Yeah, I had the weirdest pigeonhole. It's custom automotive lighting. If you look at any of my social media that's at Flyride, I'm literally teaching broke car nerds how to save money and do things themselves that cost a little bit of money but countless hours. And I'm showing them how to like wire in circuits and then program lights with a computer and like how to take apart cars and stuff. Like that is a niche inside a niche inside a niche. And that audience has no money. They just don't have it. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
inherently, they're broke. So yeah, that's not a great place to make money in. But it was a great place to find an audience. And come the point to Kevin's point, like when I realized, dude, I'm actually a skilled creator. I've invested all this money into live streaming equipment and cameras, this, that, and the other, and I've learned that craft. Now I have 2 crafts. One of them is how to modify expensive cars and do lights that people don't need, especially when the economy takes a shit. But then there was like, oh wow, I'm actually valuable to all these other companies because now I know how to make content to promote a company even better if I don't own that company, and even more better because more better is a thing. If I find a bunch of rich guys that are trying to do an NFT project and charge them $12,000 a month to make YouTube videos, like let's fucking go. That's what I realized. That was cool. That was my introductory to Web3. Was like, oh my God, here I was promoting my tiny little business with this dope skill set that I have. Turns out that dope skill set is way more valuable than the reason I developed it in the first place to promote this tiny little baby company. So like, yeah, we're all becoming media companies. And that's why content creation is so cool. Because first, it can be about you. It can be about finding that little audience and learn what resonates with them and sharpen your teeth And then after that, go get them. Go be ready for those Web 2 companies that are bumbling into Web 3 and be like, oh, well, we don't really know what to do. Oh, fucking take those people to the bank. That's my
Well, I wanted to ask K Money, since we have him on the stage. K Money, you know, we appreciate you so much. Thanks for being here. We're hearing a lot of questions tonight about, you know, I have all these passions. I call them passions, right? Because we love a bunch of different things. How do we hone in on one? K Money, what do you think was it for you? How did you figure out that one thing for you?
Okay, so for me, and also just kind of piggybacking what Chris was saying about, like, you know, develop those skills for yourself and then you could go to companies. For me, I went the other way around first. I first started off like with like content creation. I mean, like I made skits like when I was 18 years old, and that was fun, but I didn't take it more seriously until I started doing client work and like directing commercials and doing that for companies. And then I got to the point where I was like, hey, I'm tired of like building up other people's brands. Like, let me just build up my own. But it was, I guess, like kind of easy for me because like my passion was always comedy. So I just like focused on comedy. I would just make like TikTok skits, like Instagram, YouTube skits. I would do stand-up comedy and I would do my thing. And then once I got into Web3, and then that just became like a whole other passion for me. So I was just like, okay, like how can I bring what I do outside of Web3 into Web3? And then I just did that. So I think like if that is, I feel like you just have to kind of go with like whatever you're most passionate about. Like I'm sure we all like internally have like a hierarchy of like our passions and interests. So I think whatever you're most passionate about, I would just like lean into that first because again, like this whole like the whole journey of a creator is a very tough one. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of time spent. There's a lot of like learning and developing and evolving. And then, you know, and then you like put things out there and like they don't do as well as, you know, you'd hope they would do. And you have to like take that on the chin and then just like try again. And it's like, that's the whole process. It's like very similar to stand up in that sense. So I think like just go with whatever you're most passionate about because that way on like the tough days, it'll make it a little bit easier to like kind of get back on the horse.
I love that. We should put that in a note somewhere, Chris. We should talk about the struggles because it does get lonely at times. You know, that rejection is I can relate to that so well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you are alone. Like it's not that like oh that's feel bad for me, but you don't get better because you know a famous YouTuber. Your content is no better than the day before unless you spend some time with them. I do think that it would be amazing because I've spent a lot of time with just people that just crush this world when it comes to like, you know, YouTube and content creation. But I'll say this, I don't want their life. I saw it. Man, they are massively under pressure. And when they're not on the camera, they look like they're dead. They're like this empty husk of what I thought they were because they're always giving that extra. Like they'll say, if you're on camera, you know, it like drains some energy, puts on some weight, stuff like that. So like if you're not a little bit extra, you look more subdued than you really wouldn't in real life, right? So like if you're yourself, but like 110% of yourself or 120% of yourself. Some people take that way to the extreme and I want to punch them in the face because they're just like, hey guys, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, I can't deal with that at all. But I do think that when you meet some of these people and to the point about like the successful YouTuber, when you meet them, they're just sitting there stressing out about the brand deal they have to fulfill. They're planning, they're thinking way ahead of time. And like, yeah, there's some cool stuff that they get to deal with, but they definitely don't have any privacy anymore. There's like big trade-offs, but the mental health trade-off never is talked about. As a creator, like it is such not a good spot to be in 90% of the time. And you're looked at as, oh, everything must be great for you. You know, I talked about like me doing the fly ride thing and like I was pandering to broke kids all the time. Dude, people thought, especially the rich guys that paid my bills, they thought that because I had big numbers on social media that I got to somehow take that to the bank. And I'm like, dude, Wells Fargo does not give a shit how many subscribers I have. Like, it has nothing to do with me being late on my mortgage or not. So like they really thought that I was like this high and mighty guy because I had good video content. And then for me, I'm sitting there thinking like, dude, if I don't get X amount of views or signups to my online courses or blah, 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 like I don't get to keep doing this. It was terrible. all while being judged as though you're just absolutely crushing everything, every other part of life, by people who probably are much closer to that than I ever was. So yeah, mental health, hardcore. It should always be talked about. We
But
should talk
here's,
about
but wait, before we continue, here's what I will say, for content creators who are just starting out, this is what I always try to remind people. Oh my God. Okay, so you got 6 likes and 2 comments. Well, it was just 6 likes and 2 comments. Now you get to do better and you get to be better and you get to suck with 6 comments. It doesn't matter, and it's better. Like, I feel like it's less pressure with 6 comments and 2 likes, or what did I say? 6 likes and 2 comments than 600,000. Because you're right, that pressure eventually is on, and it's like bigger pressure. When you're just starting out, you get to just have fun. So have fun in this journey because it's a long one.
Yeah. And make sure that you're doing something that you want to keep up with. Because if you get resentful of your audience, like any time early on, it's kind of like dating somebody. If shit's not great when you're dating, my God, you think it's going to get better because you're married or you got kids or all this extra pressure in life? Like, that's as good as it's going to get. So like, I don't mean to sound like glum on that. I've been married for a long ass time and I love it and I'm pumped. Same thing with the content. Like you're going to be married to that for a long time. So make sure that you enjoy it. And like some of the hurt and some of the, like, you let yourself down, you have high expectations of yourself. Like you really start to realize that you're in a race with yourself. As soon as you can get comfy with that, like it's a way healthier journey. And you can get motivated by other people and learn from them and do all these things, but like it has to be sustainable. And yeah, like everybody that's worried that they're going to turn on the camera and that all of these people are going to be making fun of them because of how they look or they sound. Guess what? No, they're not, because they're not even going to watch your video. So like take some of the pressure off. Like you're not going to be instantly famous because you finally decide to flip on the camera and hit record.
Yeah. Who's next? We
got Ben.eth or benethminer.eth. That's a lot of ETHs. How you doing, Ben.eth?
GM, what's good, guys? First of all, this has been an amazing space since I joined. So many good tips for content creators and people navigating Web3 and what we can expect going forward. But yeah, it's like, I love how you guys, even without mentioning business models, the way you broke it all down, it sounds like you look at content like business models, like the way about creating content, because like you think about your customer segment, the value proposition you want to deliver. You spoke about delivering content either through YouTube, Twitter, or TikTok or Instagram, and make sure that there are people there that want to listen to that type of content. So you are referring to channels. So I think there is so much to unpack out of this space. That's fucking amazing. And the thing that resonated with me the most, even though I'm not a content creator like that, I'm most a content consumer, is what you guys were talking about. Also Kimani, about being passionate about what you're doing, because at the end of the day, there are tons of people doing what you want to do, like creating content or even creating content about the same topics. So I think differentiating yourself by being yourself, you also got to be passionate, right? Because you cannot just expect yourself to have high performance if you don't care that much about what you are going to talk about. And you need to care about what you're doing at the end of the day. So you need to have a goal. So having a goal is maybe changing the minds of people that think NFTs are a scam. So that's your target audience. That's the tone of your message. And you make it accessible to those people. You cater to them. So I think it's very important when we are making content to follow these tips that you guys referred to. Kind of think of how and where and to who we want to deliver this content. I think that's amazing. One thing that I wanted to ask you guys about, because I feel like this component might be a little bit overlooked, is the education part. Because at the end of the day, a content creator must educate him or herself on a daily basis on multiple different topics. Otherwise, the space moves so fast, it will get to a point where we'll start just talking about something we heard or something we spoke of previously. So, but also there is a second layer to it. Like things can get quite technical, infinitely technical, like especially with this blockchain stuff. So for a content creator, like my second question, besides what's the importance of getting educated on a daily basis and how to best approach it, like how would you go about getting educated on a topic that you cannot fully understand, but you still are going to create content about it? Because at the end of the day, many of us that want to create content may suffer from the imposter syndrome. Is this gonna be cool? Are people gonna think I'm just a fraud because I'm not a fully expert on this, just like Vitalik, you know? So how do you guys approach that part of it? Because I think it's important for us to know how deep should we go on that rabbit hole of knowledge.
First thing I want to say before any answers, Ben, if you have an iPhone, put on voice isolation. It'll help everybody a lot because it cuts out all the background noise. It's amazing. I would love to hear from Melina or Kevin to answer some of that. What do you think?
I don't know if Kevin wants to go. I don't mind starting. There's so much there. I will say, I think it's tricky. I'm not saying you need to be an expert, but I would definitely recommend you stick to something that you feel like you can do on a daily, right? So like, I always say this because people reach out to me saying, hey, like, what am I trading today? What are your crypto trades? The reality is I'm not a crypto trader. I'm not going to ever tell you what to buy. I'm not looking at the SEC. Like, and I tell this to everyone. I'm like, I'm not Wendy. Oh, go find Wendy. She does it perfectly. I'm not, that's not what I'm doing. But what I also wanted to say, because maybe what you're trying to say is that you don't feel like you're an expert, but you know what? If you're just 10 steps ahead of the other person who's like, I don't even know where to start, then I would say just build on that. And what we tend to say all the time in terms of content creation is remembering what you needed help with at the very beginning. And that's how you build out a course. That's how you build out your educational piece. So if you look at my content, I'm very, very aware that when I entered the space, I had no freaking clue what all this shit was, which is how I keep showing up in my content, which is the girl that's super confused. Like, what's this? Because that's how I was a year and a half ago. So I always play on that. But I am now at this point, I feel like an expert in certain different things. But if you feel like you're already 10 steps ahead, I would go back to how you felt day one.
Absolutely. Kevin, you got an answer on that one?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because like I resonate a lot with that. Like for instance, like when I made a video, when I made a video about Bitcoin ordinals, I knew fucking absolutely nothing. I still feel like I know nothing about Bitcoin ordinals. So like I literally like spent a week researching it, asked a bunch of people who were more knowledgeable about it than I was, and then I just like really like took like time to like do thorough research before I put out a video about that. Because yeah, like I agree, like you ideally don't want to, like if you are like making something that's like educational, you would want to have a certain understanding it on your own. But again, like I don't know, like if I just say like kind of stay in your lane in a sense, you know what I mean? Like it's like I know I'm like great at entertainment. I know I'm probably not the best at like education, but I do realize that like the best content is like a mixture of both. So like I just do my best to be educated, but it always comes down to like what is your goal? And like once you figure out like what your goal is and like what your vision is, then you can kind of reverse engineer it. Like for instance, like I educate myself every single day. Like I read every day. I want to be a director. So like every single night I watch a different movie and I take notes on that movie. I take notes on like the direction, cinematography, pacing, edit, like whatever. And then like that's my own form of education. And then like I apply that by making every one of my videos slightly different and like slightly just try to like tweak it a little bit here and there. So education is always going to look different for everyone else. It all just like depends on what your goal is.
Oh wow, those are some amazing tips. I'm not gonna lie. Yes, like definitely like also adapting basically what I'm getting is adapting the way we deliver the message to what we know and who we are. So we don't go away from our lane. We don't pretend to know more than what we know. And we leverage other skills that we might have, like maybe soft skills that we have, how entertainment we are, like how good are we bringing down to a common level the knowledge we want to pass. Yes, I think that's super amazing. Thank you guys for the good tips, and also Chris for the tip about the microphone isolation. I'm going to look into that right now.
Oh, it's easy too. You can just swipe on your phone, and only while you're a speaker on Twitter Spaces will it give you that little menu, but you could change it from standard to wide spectrum to voice isolation. So like if you're driving in your car, it's kind of better to do, but it actually messes things up. Like if you have a good mic and you do that, it can actually mess up the sound of your mic. So there's certain times to do it. But here's another thing I was going to add to what they just said, because I think it's important to know, like, you probably don't want to be in the position of saying that you're an expert. Like the expectation on the internet, if you say you're an expert, they're gonna crucify you if you get something wrong. And it's actually kind of fun to troll them, because I was a fucking expert in my field. I was the best. That's what they thought, because I had more YouTube subscribers. But if I said a word wrong, oh my God, I would get absolutely hung out to dry if I said the word Fresnel wrong, because I talked about like lenses and stuff. And so we had these projector lenses in cars, and it's spelled with an S. So I said Fresnel, and these dorks just came out of the woodwork throwing sticks and freaking bricks at me and shit, being like, you said it wrong. Oh my God. Nothing. You think that these like blockchain sleuths are bad? Talk about somebody who writes schematics for electronics and like tells you where the transistor and the capacitor goes. Oh my God. These guys have nothing better to do than like grammar correct and all that. That's out
Chris,
the
tell
window.
us how you really feel, though.
Oh man, that's my. I will only ever do that. That's my only deal. So here's the thing: like, if you come out as an expert, I hope you have a lot of patience with people, because they will correct you about something that you did right, and they're wrong, but they're trying to correct you about it. You gotta have a heart for people, you know.
No, I totally resonate with that. Like, I come from a software development background, and trust me, you do like one semicolon out of place and stuff like that, people are already crucifying you on your daily job, man.
and that's why we have imposter syndrome, because you read that and you see this like public shaming of somebody for getting something wrong, and all of a sudden you think like, oh man, that's terrible. How would I feel? Here's the thing: none of that shit matters. Doesn't matter. You know how many silent people you're helping that will never tell you that you helped them? And here's the way that I know that that's real, because a small fraction of that quiet, happy group reaches out and they say, dude, you helped me do this. I overcame this because of your video. When you get that, I mean, I wish I could say it makes all the bad comments not matter, but for every 100 good comments that you get, the one bad comment, you're going to just feel it more. And I don't know what to say about that, besides you got to have a bit of a thick skin. You have to know why you're doing it. Your why is important. And if you're me and you really start resenting the absolute shit out of your audience, maybe find a new audience on a new topic. Because I walked away from 250,000 people because I was sick and tired of their entitlement. And I was just like, you little bastards, see how you like my videos when there are none, motherfucker. Okay. So we've got more people.
Yeah, let's get some more people, because we're reaching the second hour, which is, this is so fun, Chris. I'm so happy we had this idea. I love when we listen to our community.
How are you doing on time, by the way? Because I was sitting there playing with the screen, and just full transparency, I'm like chatting in the background, like, hey, do you need me to go full screen so you can get water?
I got my water.
How are you on time though, Melina? Because this space is chugging along, and
I'm good. I could do like a few more minutes. I want to be, respectful of time and whatnot. But let's get some more questions. A lot of people. I had to bump some people down. I'm sorry, but other people wanted to come up. I think we see. Let's see who's here.
Hey, let me rotate myself down too, so y'all can bring one more to the stage. Thanks for having me here. And I'm gonna keep on listening. Thank you so much, guys. Amazing space.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you. How about if we hear from Victoria? I feel like she's been up for a while.
Let's go.
Yay. What's up? GM. Hi, everybody. Melina, I am your biggest fan. I am one of your biggest fans. I love your content. and I can just imagine how much time it takes to make that much of content and bring, on consistent basis. So my question is like, do you have some kind of a work process that you implement from week to week? And basically I wanted to know if you have like structure, like Monday I do this, Tuesday I do that kind of thing.
I mean, of course I do. But I will say it's my mission, hopefully this week, to start writing out exactly what I do. I think, we talked about at the beginning, Chris, as content creators, we wear so many different hats that sometimes by the time I start writing out a checklist, I just finish the list, and it's as easy as like post to Instagram, like post to TikTok, or like do your captions, or where's your call to action, right? But I will say, I think for years I used to tell myself, I need a social media app, like a calendar. But what I realized, Chris, was I needed something to help me post, post for me. So now, guys, and you could guys get on this, because I found out from other creators, Metricool is a free app right now, and it allows us to post on multiple platforms. So that's become my calendar / guiding, allows me to figure out what I'm posting or what I'm creating or what's coming. But what also helps is like, now I'm doing the video podcast. So that allows me to chop up a couple of TikToks. I'm incorporating more content creation stuff because I really am like, I'm just so happy to see the result of this first space, because I really am all about listening to my community, and I know that people need help, and Chris and I want to be there to help everyone out. So in any which way we can. And yes, thank you for all the love and flowers. But in reality, it's just all in my head. I hate to say that because I want to be like, I use this app and this and that. And the reality is it's just, it's all in my head. It's messy up in there. You don't want to be there.
Love that. I absolutely love that, because it can get sometimes difficult, and I found like if when I don't have a structure, it's like, and then if I'm working for multiple people, it's like, oh la la, like what am I doing today? But it's kudos to you if it's like it goes natural and flows naturally. And I want to say, K Money, yo, love your cats. He posts videos of his cats on Instagram, and I'm like, what's their names?
They're both girls. Their names are Cleo and Abe. So like, yeah, content creation's alone. Like, it's like a lonely process. So like, just get some cats.
There you go.
They
got one already.
Get on your hands editing, but like, just get cats.
That's awesome.
I love that. What about GT? GT tweeted out saying 392 days of gratitude day videos, and I just filmed my first with the camera facing the other way. Let's fucking go.
No way. See, we're changing lives. This is amazing. No, we are 100% going to keep doing this too. And I want to hear from people too. If they're like, go, Chris, don't talk about your old business anymore. You sound aggressive. We could do that, but I definitely want to make sure that we focus some of these rooms really heavy on certain topics, but then also have that second half to just open it up and dive into some questions that maybe don't fit in cute little boxes. But Victoria, thank you for coming up. I know we've got Ziana who's had her hand up for a minute. We've got Greg. Let's go to Ziana, and then we'll go to Greg next, and then Godfather. And I think we might be wrapping up after that.
Hi. Chris, I want to let you know, I think Greg may have had his hand up before me. So if I can just maybe let him go first, and then I will.
Look how nice people are.
Oh, wow. What?
People are so nice.
Don't do the gentleman thing, Greg, and be like, no, you first.
You first.
Over to you, Greg.
I'm going to do the anti-gentleman thing and talk with my mouth full of food because I thought I was going next, so I just stuffed my face. Thank you for passing the buck here. I don't know if Amina's still here. Looks like she might have left. But I wanted to answer her question from way before, but it has, I guess, been continually brought up. This idea about she had a couple of ideas about consistency and defining your brand. I'm sorry if there's wind here. Hold on. Let me.
Yeah, she had a question about noise isolation.
Yeah, can you hear me okay still? Is this terrible, or you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're okay. You can put on voice isolation.
All right.
Have you ever done that for the room? Maybe we could walk you through it.
Can I do it mid speaking right now? I'll do it.
Swipe up from the bottom of your phone straight up, and you're gonna see a little.
I just did it. Did that help at all?
Dude, so everything's better now. Amazing. You made
Is that true? Or are you trolling me?
I'm not.
No,
even
it sounds good. Yeah.
That to the room. That's how.
Okay,
That's the power
thank
of
you.
voice isolation. All right, over to you, Greg.
Okay, thank you. I am on my AirPods, so sometimes it picks up the wind. Anyhow, consistency. And she also wanted to talk about kind of defining her brand. And she had multiple types of different like businesses and messages and how does she choose? And like all of it just kind of formed together in my mind. It's just like sometimes you have to step away from, it's a lot of like, you should try this and you should try that. And you should like, first you have to test this, and then which one is your passion? And then and it's like, that's all true. But also what worked for me over time and how I've got to where I am now, where I feel like I have like a sustainable type of content that I like doing and that has reach and that is needed, is self-awareness, right? And it's cliche in a sense, and it's not an overnight thing, but it's like, instead of looking at all the things you could do out there and all the things you could try, it's like taking a fucking step away and looking inward and just getting some silence in your fucking life. We're bombarded all day long with messaging, with ideas, with thoughts, with feedback. And it's like, hey, go for a fucking hike every day for an hour and just clear your mind. And when you get to the top, close your eyes for 10 minutes and just wait. And guess what? All those questions, you just ask them and you're going to get the answer immediately. You're not going to maybe know the exact technical thing to do, but you're going to know which YouTube video to watch for a tutorial on the thing. You're going to ask the question. We all know the answers to all the questions already. We just don't do them. And sometimes we don't get the answer we want. But I think when it comes to consistency and choosing which thing it is, it's like, well, what do you want to do? What is fun? Because you know what's not hard to be consistent at? Fun shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one's having trouble being consistent at eating a fucking chicken finger or playing video games every day. Like you're pretty consistent at that. So why can't you be consistent at making content? Is because you're doing it like it's a job. You're doing it for something you don't really care that much about. But like, in her case, she runs this fashion company. It's like, I assume you're pretty passionate about fashion. Like, do you have any thoughts about the industry that don't have to do with your brand? Because just talk about the things that are really interesting to you and become a thought leader. Like when I started my Twitter I have an old account, but I only started tweeting a year ago. And it was like, I was really passionate about this one crypto token. And I just went fucking all in on it. And like, I'm a good researcher and I just did hella research and I know how to edit multimedia and I combined it all. And I became like someone in the community because I was having a shitload of fun, like putting this all together around like an investment that I had. Anyhow, I'll get off my soapbox, but I just feel like looking inward and taking some time to be silent, sometimes you get all your questions answered like that.
That's powerful, dude. I love that. I absolutely need to go do that because my head, when Melina was talking about how she's got everything in her head, I don't even know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Sometimes it's midnight and I'm like, oh shit, I said I was going to do a video a day for a year. What a bozo. I better go out and start filming the thing that I'm supposed to post technically yesterday.
We all believe in you, Chris.
Okay.
Honestly, I think that is what a flex to have put that out there and say, I'm gonna commit to one video a day. It's not one video, because I take breaks. Like Saturday, Sunday, I'm like, listen, it's enough of all this. You are doing this for 365 days. That's a lot.
Yeah, what a moron. Okay, over to Ziana.
Hey guys. So just a huge shout out to you guys. A girl in the verse. I've never actually come across your content, but I'm not gonna lie, I was quick at just kind of checking out what you post, and I love it. I did shoot you a follow. And also K-Money, Chris, love you guys. I have a quick question. I am late, so please stop me if it's something that you guys already spoke about. But as for the content creators on stage, I am curious how you guys keep yourself organized And do you guys use any like specific tools that you would recommend for people to keep that organizational, I don't know, purpose on point? You know, because I feel like everything moving in the space, you're trying to keep up with everything that's happening, or just create content in general for whatever your niche is. Trying to stay organized in that can be complicated. So I'm curious.
I want to hear the one that Melina mentioned a minute ago about scheduling and posting, but I will say this is a super easy free hack for absolutely everybody. We all know Google, but type google.com/keep, KEEP. And it's a free browser-based note-taking thing, but I love it. It's so dope. Like anything that's on the top of my head that I don't want to forget, I will just make a new Google Keep little list, and then you could change the like the writing from a regular format like a notepad to checkbox. So every time you hit enter, it makes a new checkbox. Sometimes I'll just be like sitting on the couch, or I'll be doing something non-creative whatsoever, and I'll be like, hey, what are like 6 topics? Because I got to do a video a day. Like what's 6 topics about this series? Like I did a bunch of stuff on live streaming. So I'll just jot down really quick on my phone. I'll put something about a mic or something about a camera, like whatever all these individual things are. I hit enter and it makes a checkbox, and I'll pin that little note or whatever to my Google Keep. And the next time I open the phone, I have that same list that I had in that moment, when for whatever reason I felt like listing those things out. And now I know what I can focus on for the next 5-6 days. Like I have those things in front of me that I could check down. That's about as organized as your boy gets. I got nothing else in me that's organized at all. So
I was gonna say we're on video right now for those who probably missed it, but we've been and we both just went like when she's asking the question, like, oh no, like it's all in our heads. We don't have any like that's the problem with the content creators. We're all messed up. But I'm curious to hear what K Money has to say. But you say Keep. I use Keep as well, but because I love a good iPhone and my MacBook Pro, I love the Notes app because, oh my God, I don't know how many notes I have in there. But truth be told, it doesn't keep me organized. It's just something I use, like even in terms of what's my script, what am I doing, what am I filming? I'll always go in Notes. I don't use Word doc or any of that. I do it all in Notes. Same thing with like hashtags. I keep them all saved in there. I have a list of different, groups of hashtags that I use. But the truth is it's all in our like, I don't have any good, like the one I said before of scheduling my posts, I am using Metricool right now, and it's completely free. So that was a hack that another content creator had given me, and I've been using it for the last, I'd say, month, and it's been a game changer for myself.
I think it's a little bit of Wizard of Oz situation. There's like a silly little man behind a curtain. Over to the silly little man. What's up, Kevin?
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys are way more organized than me.
Here we go.
Dude, currently I just opened up my notes app. I have 2,700 notes, and I only use this stand-up or scripts or skits. But recently I did invest into myself because I'm more organized now. So I got a whiteboard, and I hang up my whiteboard because my favorite fucking thing in the entire world now is to just like cross something off my whiteboard. So like I'm staring at my whiteboard right now. There's like 6 skits I want to do. Then I have like a section for like side quests, which is just like random ideas. So like I just kind of get to it whenever I get to it. I really wish I could just be like, oh yeah, like, I use this app and I'm organized and I wake up at 5 a.m. and, I fucking take a cold fucking shower every day. Like I'm not that often. And the thing is, shout out to Greg, I'm very self-aware. Like I know I am a chaotic human being. And like, I just kind of like embrace it. So like, I just like it, whenever I feel like doing something, that's when I'll do it. And I'll do that at the best of my ability. And if I don't feel like doing something, I'm not going to force like, it's like today, like I wanted to film today, but I woke up and I'm fucking depressed. So I'm like, hey, I'm not going to film today, but today is a good day to go on a hike and to like write more. So like, now I'm just going to I'm just going to be writing. So I'm not filming, and I'm aware of that. And because like the thing is, like, you can't force yourself to do things because like that always like translates. Like I've had so many, like I've had like some of my most viral videos on like TikTok where people are just like reaching out to me like, yo dude, like great video, but like are you about to kill yourself or something? Like, you look like shit. Like they could, like, it translates. So like, I just try to like just embrace my unorganization and just do whatever the fuck it is that I'm doing.
I think people don't want to see perfect. I think we absolutely have tested and proven that out, that Instagram and perfectly curated bullshit that's not actually real, like, it doesn't make anybody feel good. Nobody wants to look at somebody that's perfect. They just don't. So and they kind of hate you for it. If you show up looking perfect and all your shit's together, they're like, fuck that guy. But I think having a little bit of even they say this, like, disarming things that you can do if you're a speaker on stage, and be like, hey, listen, I'm not like, I'm a little bit nervous up here. Like, I this isn't exactly like my thing. People resonate with that a hell of a lot more than like, I'm a big deal. Now listen to me talk at you. So yeah, but I think Greg was going to say something about organization.
I was gonna follow up on kind of what you just said, because that's fire. Like, we all know that, kind of like you said, like, it's been tested and proven. People don't want perfection, but that's why Twitter is the fucking best, because you can do, it's super raw. Like, you can do anything on here. Like, you can, if you just like, you're not feeling up to it, you're having a bad day and you just want to like put an idea, just type the idea. If you want to like turn the camera around and like just you're having a thought and you want to spread it with a little more, media behind it, a little more energy, a little more like face, you can do that. And if you want to just like post pictures, or if you want to do a really high quality video, you could post that too, or you could come into space and talk about it live. So it's like, you really have everything at your disposal in here. It's got to be one of the most powerful platforms out there. I still think it's incredibly underrated. And like what with Elon's doing with it, like, I just think it's going to the moon. There's going to be monetization. I think they're going to bring more video into it. Like, it's just going to be, I just think this is the right place. You all are in the right spaces. So yeah, just appreciate, I know you guys are going to wrap up soon. So just thank you for holding this space.
Dude, thank you for being here. And I hope so. I hope Papa Elon brings it home. Let's go, Elon. Why don't we go over to Victoria and then Ziana, and then we're going to close out.
Yay. Twitter to the moon, Greg. I actually wanted to make a point about something that you were talking about, going back to Amina and things. Sometimes in the space, there are people who just, like super young, they don't know what they're doing. They see other people doing things and working out for them. They have these aspirations and dreams. And so like, they're going on Fiverr, hiring some 3D designer, and then coming to Web3 and calling themselves a founder, and then misbehaving in the space, not paying people who work with them, coach with them. So I think the people, like, first they should like kind of find out what they really want. I think you got the point. I think very important, like the self-awareness part that you also spoke about, like, it's important for people to be self-aware, to know what their passion is, and really double down on, so to be able to really double down on that. So, and I see, like very often, like, well, a few people that like I coached and they call themselves expert on LinkedIn, and meanwhile, they don't even know what pudgy penguins. So I swear to God. And
I don't know what they are either. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so like totally not knowing where they are, how to behave, and like, yeah, totally misbehaving with people in the space. You have a bunch of people like that as well in the space. I wanted to maybe answer to Ziana, maybe share a little bit of my process that I've learned from Justin Welsh. He's a well-known content creator in the space, not in the Web3 space, but in general. And he has something called Content Brain. So basically, I use that when I don't have ideas and things. So basically, he chooses a topic for the week, and then he writes a newsletter on that topic. And then from that newsletter, he makes a listicle. Then he makes, past vs present. I can send you the video if you want. And then that goes to become carousel for LinkedIn. He's huge on LinkedIn, by the way. And so he really chooses one topic and he repurposes that content, not right away. like he has a schedule when, like, you know, one thing goes the week of the newsletter, and then like in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. So he always has something to talk about. And then he's also say that he repurposes last year's and the year before content, which is also, I thought that was a great idea. So I'm happy to share his video on that with you. And I thought that was an amazing like life hack.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Oh, we can go into repurposing content. That's a whole other, right? I'm going to take notes though. Thank you so much. Chris.
That should be a whole room.
12 a.m. for me.
We should do a whole space specifically on repurposing and talking about strategies that have worked. There's a lot of really, really cool ones out there. And I think that we could 100% just serve, like, the value that people could take away from that room alone would be really huge. First, though, I want to have a room about bitching about paying and getting paid and charging and all that. We should do that one next week.
I know we're so fired for that one. We're like, we're gonna rip it up.
It'll be good. All right, let's go to Ziana.
Hey guys, so and please forgive me for my inability to put words together. It's kind of been a long day. So really quick again, and also, is this space recorded? I was looking at the top. I'm like, no, I wanted to listen back on this information.
Yeah, we recorded it on StreamYard. So not only is it recorded, but you'll see my silly unshaven face and beautiful Melina on video. We're going to chop up the key moments, repurpose that, talk about it, put it on our YouTube channels, do all these things. And we're streaming on Kick. But no, Twitter rugged me. And as soon as I went to click the space that all these people were saying that they were going to come to, it's like, nope, can't do it, bud. Sorry. And so we had Melina start up the space and we survived. And then my Bluetooth didn't work for the first 10 minutes. And now we're here. So over to you, Ziana.
Sorry about that.
I was not expecting that much, but that's awesome. So thank you in advance for that. I'm definitely going to listen back. But just to respect the time, have you guys, again, for the content creators on stage, dealt with, you know, how a writer deals with writer's block? Have you dealt with content block? Even though I feel like, again, the space is constantly moving, there's constantly things for you guys to kind of produce. And how have you guys kind of surpassed that? Are there, you know, some key points that you do? Do you take a walk? Do you exercise?
That's not me, right?
I totally got rugged. Sorry.
I thought it was me. I was like, oh shit.
But
Okay, should I start?
Yeah,
Did we get rugged? We're good.
Kevin, because I'm not a guy who runs out of ideas or things to say.
Okay,
So
so here's what I will say, and I want people to know that everyone gets writer's block, everyone gets that creativity block. What I've learned to accept is that there are seasons, and I say seasons because there's going to be weeks, like Hey Money said, right? He wanted to do a video today, but he just didn't feel like it. And that's normal. You know, we can't always expect to be on and do videos we maybe can, but there are seasons to the business. And when I say business, I mean this content creation, you know, business, right? Because it is, you know, it is a business. There are seasons to that. So there are going to be weeks where you're going to have a ton of ideas to create that content. And so that's why we, you know, a lot of content creators will talk about batching out that content, right? Batch out those videos that you want to do. And then there are going to be weeks where you're going to just need to organize your brain and your life, and that's okay. And so just from personal experience, I've allowed myself and given myself that grace to accept that I'm not going to be on every week. I'm not going to be this bubbly every single day. And that there are going to be days where I just don't want to have nice hair. So, you know, you just do what you got to do. And Chris is laughing here, but it's just, and I want people to know that even us on stage here, even us who've been doing this for a long time, we feel that too. So I hope that helps.
what do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like kind of going back to like self-awareness, I think that's like really key because you figure out like what works best for you. Like for instance, I literally write, whether it's for stand-up or skits, I do all of my writing when I'm in the shower, when I'm about to fall asleep, when I'm driving, or when I'm doing dishes. So anytime I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I need to write it, I need to write something, like I'm not gonna do it. Like that's why I failed in like every class, like why I dropped out of high school, because it's like I can't force myself to do something when it just doesn't come natural to me. And it seems like for me, whenever I have ideas, it's usually when I'm like passively doing something else, and like my mind's kind of free. So I just know that about myself now. So like whenever I do feel like a creative block, luckily my house is always fucking clean now because I just start doing chores, and then eventually I'd get an idea. And yeah, I mean, like even then, like I feel like, and all my friends know too, it's like we'll be in the middle of a conversation and maybe I'll just like be like, I'll just tell them like, hey, like I'm writing real quick, and I'll just like write down like an idea that I have, and I just have to communicate it so I don't come off as like rude. But yeah, that's kind of what works best for me. I think everyone is gonna have something that works best for them, and it comes down to like self-awareness.
Yeah, I agree. If you're on the stream, if you can see right at the tip of my finger right there, that is a little bottle of Visine. And the reason I have that there is because my dumbass will fall asleep on the couch, wake up, it'll be 12:30 in the middle of the night, and I will be like, okay, now I have to start. I got to come up with an idea, shoot it, and edit and post it before I go to bed. I have no idea why I do that to myself, but my eyes are bloodshot. I look like a monster. So I'll drop some Visine, I shoot the video, I'll get it done. Because I work great under pressure. And sometimes I am just so full of myself that I literally won't even try until I create that pressure to do it. So different strokes for different folks, 100%.
Mhm.
But yeah, don't sabotage. Don't do what I do. That's not smart.
I would say you just have to
I
figure
love
out the
that.
rhythm. Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks. I'm so sorry.
What did she say? I missed it.
She was laughing because I said
I
different
said
strokes for different folks.
Well, I hope
I'm
that was
great.
helpful because
Awesome.
we all have different strategies, and that's one of the things too. Is like maybe you're gonna have, and it's true, K Money, right? A lot of our ideas will happen in the shower. I don't know why that is, but it is true. And allowing yourself to take those breaks. I remember at the very, very beginning when I started doing content, I thought I just had to be glued to my computer, like, okay, I got to keep doing all this. But you know what? Sometimes it's in the conversations you're having, right? Like if I'm talking to my girlfriend, check, what the hell's a meta Birkin? And then I come up with the script. I'm like, oh my God, this is how I have to explain it. But it's sometimes it's going to be in those conversations. I would also say, like, allow yourself those breaks too.
Yeah. Breaks, and some people have very big guilt when it comes to like needing a break, and some people haven't taken a break for years. That's not cool. Like, have you ever heard the story about the lumberjack and out there in the woods, and he's hacking away at the tree, and he just can never cut down as many trees as everybody else. This is a cute little story. And so he's killing himself. He just never stops, and he's hacking away at that tree, and he can never chop down as many trees as everybody else. And then one day he finally gets fed up. He's tired. And he just forces himself to take that lunch. And he sees all the other lumberjacks taking their lunch. And one of the things that they're doing while they're eating, they're sharpening their axes. And then it all makes sense. I'm an idiot. I've been blunt and just pounding myself against the wall, and I'm not getting as much done as other people who take the break and they get sharp. So like, take a break, get sharp, go out there and cut some trees. All right, over to Fashira. How do I say that? His name is Chris. And I'll just say Chris. What's up, Chris? I love your name.
Do you know what I was thinking? There's going to be a little bit of confusion when you call Chris out, but no, it's Facero or Chris or Face or whatever you want to call me. Thanks for this great space. I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, Melina and Chris, I saw you guys earlier on, and we were talking about content yesterday. So I really do appreciate the space. And K Money, it's always good advice. So thanks, dude. I wanted to jump in and talk about consistency. Because I've been there with you, Chris. I've done a 365, and there was the element that I wanted to sort of jump in on was the fact of creativity, pushing myself. And I think I'm very similar to you in the fact that I need to be pushed. I need that challenge. I need that deadline. And this was the thing. I was posting a portrait every day for the year, and that was hard. It's like I was doing a full-time job, and I was traveling all over the world, but it did nearly break me. But I think when, Melina, you were talking about jumping in the shower and Cayman, I think that's where it started with the shower. I think it's taking those moments for yourself, because it's if you don't, you do get that burnout. But I would suggest anyone, if they're struggling for creativity, to push yourself and do that challenge of trying to get something out every day. And it might not be great, but the more you do of those every day, you get better. And believe me, it's like that project. I can see that progression in myself when I started at the beginning of the year and when I got to the end. It's like that journey of progression was amazing. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, but definitely try and find your peaceful space, because that's when you are able to come alive and thrive.
I feel mad peaceful now after you spoke. If I were you, I would do 365 days of me having a dope voice and just reading smart shit other people said and showing my face saying it and then take credit. That's what I would do. Melina, we've been going at it for a minute here. I'd say, what are some thoughts that you have wrapping up the room and about what you want to see next week? What do you think?
I think personally, and I get asked this question a lot, right? When we get brands or people reaching out to us and saying, "Hey, can you do a couple of videos for me?" and what that contract should look like. We're hearing it a lot, right, from people. They're getting burned. They're not getting paid. They're, all that kind of stuff. I feel like that would be a nice hot topic to maybe do next week. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I mean, I'm here for it. I want to talk about dollars and cents and all the things. I want to empower people. I do want to tell you ahead of time before that space, you're worth it. Whoever's listening, you're worth it. So I know you got the imposter syndrome. You don't want to put a number to it. You're worth more than you're charging. I already know that. But yeah. Any thoughts about the space or closing remarks before I close this out?
I was just going to say I'm proud of us, Chris, and I want to say that because we have listened to the community. The community has spoken, and I'm happy to be here. And what I'm hearing really is people are having a hard time figuring out the type of content they want to be doing. So we're gonna dive deeper into that maybe in a couple of weeks, but that's sort of what the vibe I got. I don't know about you, Chris, but people really have a hard time figuring out what to do first, what type of content they think they want to do, like maybe niching down and figuring out that niche. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I will give Kevin the mic for one last little bit as we close up. What's up, sir?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think you guys are doing a great job. I love spaces like this. I love being able to like talk about just content and like the creator economy, because it's something that literally has been like 1/3 of my life so far. So it's cool. And yeah, I would love to be involved in that conversation about like what people should do if they're like kind of struggling to figure it out, because I've just been noticing a lot, especially on like this platform, like you see people constantly just chasing whatever the next new thing is. Like you'll see someone pop off on with like shit posting, then the next week everyone's a shit poster, like, like so like someone has a huge space and the next week everyone wants to be a space host, or like, like someone goes on Kick, now everyone's a Kick street. Like I just like would love to kind of talk about like people being grounded in like something more original and like that is like more genuine. But yeah, I think you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you, dude. No, I appreciate that. I'm very glad that you came. You're always welcome. And to that point, all of you are welcome, and not just in this space, not just in the one that I host or that Melina hosts, but there's going to be a lot of creator spaces. And damn it, I'm going to push them all to happen. I need the help. Dude, Kevin, listen, this guy's going to listen to you just because he's going to listen to you. Tell Tally to host the space. Such a creative dude, such a talented guy. He just needs a smack on the ass to go out there and do it. And the same goes for a lot of other people here in the space. Like, I want to hear from the creators in the space, whether you're a man or a woman or a bear or a freaking rabbit, whatever you identify as, do a space. We want to hear from you. I want to support, and I want to just keep moving this crowd to all of those different spaces. So I appreciate everybody for coming. I'm sorry that Twitter rugged me, but I'm glad that Melina hosted. We made it happen. We showed you. You just wing it. And if you're going to do live streams, like, shit's going to break. Better adapt. So we'll see you guys next week. Melina, thank you so much. This was awesome. I can't wait to share the little clips and little pieces of this. And everybody, I will let you know. Follow one of us or something, and I'll let you know in the next spaces and do some recaps. I'm gonna ask Melina how to do recaps, and I'm gonna do content creation, room, spaces, recaps. Okay,
Let's
guys.
do it.
I'll see ya.
Bye, guys. Thank you.